Good morning. 10 o'clock live from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I am Robert Walsh. Sparse news day in the NFL as Aaron Rodgers adds on the Pat McAfee show that he's, quote, pretty sure this is it. The last season of his career. Rodgers signing a one-year deal worth $13 million in Pittsburgh. Pretty big news day in the NBA, though, where the NBA draft is tonight in Brooklyn. Draft gets started at 7 p.m., but the real draft gets started after number one, where the Mavs are expected to select Duke's Cooper Flag. San Antonio, Philly, Charlotte, and Utah round out the top five. Big trade in the NBA yesterday. Atlanta and Brooklyn finalizing a three-team trade that sends Kristaps Porzingis and a second-round pick to the Hawks, Terrence Mann, and Atlanta's number 22 overall pick to the Nets, and George Niang and second-rounder to the Celtics. And also yesterday, former Celtic, Dallas Mavericks 9-time NBA All-Star Kyrie Irving declined his $43 million player option and intends to sign a 3-year, $119 million contract with the franchise. The deal includes a player option in the 27-28 season. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
All right. How we living on this Wednesday? Welcome into 104.5 The Zone. We're happy to have you. Lucas is on assignment in New England. He's in Foxborough, Massachusetts. You've got the New England Revolution taking on Nashville SC up there in Foxborough. They play at Gillette. He was asking me about the logistics because, of course, I've done many Titans-Patriots games up north in my career, and I told him it's the worst logistically stadium to get to. It is the worst place to try and get out of. They didn't even put the press box and a radio broadcast booth in the right spot. So I'm sure he's going to have a great time. As long as Nashville SC wins, I'm sure he's going to have a great time. But I don't think there's a worse NFL stadium that I've been to than New England. Just because of all the different issues that you shouldn't have to deal with, that should be pretty routine for a place that's going to put that much emphasis on its football stadium. But that's not how we're going to open the show today. Tight end U's in town, and there's some interesting stuff that's coming out of there. We'll get to that here in just a second. There's also trades in the NBA that have me curious about team-building philosophy. I don't know how much can be applied from NBA to NFL, but I do think there's some interesting conversations to be had there. 615-737 1045 is the number. If you want to jump in, you can do so. Me and Robert have you until 1 o'clock today. How's morale back there?
Don't include me in that. I'm taking a mental health day.
A mental health day. So what does that involve for you?
Nothing. It just means making sure that you stay on the air, you get all your good words out.
Cruise control.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, that's what is different about that than any other day?
I'm not wearing pants today. I've locked the studio door. No one can get in here. No one can be...
Justin literally just walked out of the studio.
Well, he said he was okay with it. He had to sign an NDA, which you've now broken. But that's fine with me. Be careful.
You end up in court. I know Diddy got cleared of some charges today, but that doesn't mean that you can run about literally willy-nilly. You didn't like that one?
How do you like it? How do you like it when somebody makes you sit in it, huh?
You didn't do it nearly long enough. And your biggest mistake is thinking that you can make me feel the same amount of shame as I can make you feel.
Unless I'm in an Uber with you, because then you're like, shut up. Stop talking to the Uber driver.
I have a perfect 5.0 Uber rating. You mess with my Uber rating, I'll end you. That's a threat.
I want you to have a 4.98 so bad.
There's nothing that you could do. I would pick you. Or I would pick my perfect Uber rating over you any day of the week.
Well, it's going to be a sham eventually because
realistically, when have I ever yelled at you in an Uber?
No, it's always when we get out. It's like the mom when companies in the house wait until they leave. Wait until they leave. As soon as we get out in the Uber, you just grab my ear and pull me to whatever bar we're going to.
Church pinch the back of your arm fat.
Yeah, right.
Well, don't mess with my Uber rating. F&M Bank Chat is open for business. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. If you want to get involved there, you are most welcome to do so. Where Tyler greets us this morning, says, still getting ESPN notifications about Levis. Poor Tehran still has to write articles about that bum. All right, so that's not very kind to start our Wednesday morning. Levis is doing something, though, that another player on your football team should probably be doing. Tight end U is in town, and the reason that Tehran would be covering anything Will Levis related this week is because Will is participating in Tight End U. He's one of the quarterbacks that's out there helping the guys participate in their drills. For those of you who don't know what Tight End University is, that's what U is short for, if you didn't know. They've been doing this in Nashville for the last 5 years. This is the 5th Tight End University, and it's George Kittle, it's Travis Kelce, it's Greg Olsen, guys who just decided that they were going to put together an all tight end skills camp, and they're going to do it here in Nashville. I don't know if Travis Kelce and Greg Olsen have connections to Nashville, but Kittle lives in the offseason in Thompson Station. You know he's a big Preds fan, the whole 9 yards. So they've been doing it at, I think the first one was at Lipscomb. Now it's at Vanderbilt, and they've grown it into a thing that's a really big deal at this point. You've got ESPN, the NFL Network, broadcasting live shows from Tight End University on Vanderbilt's campus. It's a great advertisement for the city in a time where there's not really much else to talk about, which is why ESPN is sending and NFL Network is sending resources to Tight End University, because it's just something to put on TV at this point in time. If you follow these kind of things in the offseason, if you're a football fan, you know that Duke Manyweather has done offensive line masterminds in Dallas. I don't know if it's quite been a decade, but it's longer than Tight End U, but it's the first one of these. I'm sure I can't remember who's the coach. I'm gonna feel terrible about this because we've had him on the show, but he's an assistant coach for the Ravens now, Robert, and his nickname is Dr. Rush.
Chuck Smith,
one of Blaine's former teammates. Dr. Rush, he got his nickname because he would hold this pass rush summit with Von Miller, and he'd do a lot of work out of Atlanta, training a lot of different guys. So it's not like this is a new thing. This is just a better publicized thing. Gunnar Helm is the only Titans tight end that's in attendance. Chig Okonkwo's training. I'm just scrolling through Instagram, saw Chig doing some work wherever he is. He may have it's not a mandatory thing. It's just a nice extra thing to have in town, to have at their disposal, with a position group that could stand to be a lot better in 2025 from a tight end standpoint. So Gunnar Helm is there. Will Levis is there. That's why you're getting notifications about Will Levis participating in things, because Will Levis could also use every opportunity to get better and work with NFL talent. And also, maybe one of these tight ends goes back to their general managers when everybody reconvenes for training camp and be like, who wasn't terrible? Who's not bad? Who I'd rather catch passes from than our current backup quarterback? That Will Levis guy in Tennessee. Let's maybe you see if he's available, if any of these tight ends are comfortable, sneaking a word in edgewise to Howie Roseman or Nick Caserio or any of these other general managers that are running around out there. So I don't think I don't think it's a big deal to be made about, Gunnar Helm's the only Titans tight end in attendance. It's fine. I'm sure they have their reasons. It's not like they're not doing anything at this point in time. It's just, like I said, a nice additional thing to have. And now the pop culture people have gravitated towards Tight End U because obviously, Robert, what else comes to town when Travis Kelce comes to town?
Taylor Swift.
Yes. Taylor Swift is a big part of the coverage of Tight End University this year because, famously, dating Travis Kelce, shows up at the L.A. Jackson pre-party before the kickoff event that they do every year when this thing comes to town. They put on a concert as well. They take advantage of the fact that Nashville has a lot of great artists just hanging around and probably want to get in on the fun with the NFL players. So they have a concert every year at Brooklyn Bowl, or at least for the last couple of years. I don't think they've done it all 5 years that they've done Tight End U, but the last couple of years they've done a concert. And they had Luke Combs out on stage. They had Chase Rice playing. I think their special unannounced guest was Kane Brown, but Taylor is also there. So Chase Rice apparently gets her a guitar, and everybody else hanging out in the VIP or whatever kind of talks her into getting out there on stage with Kane Brown. And Taylor Swift plays a pop-up show at Brooklyn Bowl in front of a crowd of dudes, Robert, that I would imagine probably 80% men who have bought tickets to this thing just to kind of rub shoulders with athletes and hang out and be a part of it. I imagine it's a very meathead heavy crowd. So when Taylor Swift gets out on the stage, and probably 80% of that crowd has bitched about her at some point being too big a part of the Chiefs broadcast. Like, does that crowd specifically get up for Taylor Swift? Or do you just immediately cast whatever issues you have with her aside and say, yeah, I'm good. I'm down for a good time. Play Shake It Off.
They wouldn't want me there.
They wouldn't want you there?
No.
Why would you boo?
Boo! Get off the stage! I would make sure she had teardrops on those guitars.
Wait, are you an anti-Swiftie?
No, I just hate the Chiefs.
Oh, that's fair. Well, if
you and your ugly husband, get out of here.
I was telling you that maybe there's a chance next year we could do stuff with tight end.
And I was just telling you that what a fantastic couple. I've always been a huge fan of Travis Kelce.
I can't imagine. Like, you get up for the combine in weird ways. Like, your sports wet dream, it sounds like, is to be able to attend the NFL scouting combine and just be amongst all the things, because you're a draftnik. You're a junkie on this stuff, which we appreciate. It's good. It's good to have somebody who cares about the draft at a granular level on the show. I think that if we let you run around out on the practice fields at tight end U, you would immediately be the biggest kiss ass in attendance at tight end U.
I think I would immediately get a opportunity to work out for an NFL team when they saw how quick my hips are. But I think my wet dream would be hitting the trifecta, going to the now Panini Senior Bowl. I don't know if you saw that. Reese's is no longer the sponsor for the Senior Bowl.
Oh, that's lame.
So it's Panini, though. So they work with Panini.
No, but I'd rather have a box of Reese's sent to me than a bunch of trading cards.
Well, that's okay. You can give them to me. Then hit the combine, then hit the draft. That would be my ultimate draft wet dream. But, yeah, if I was out there, dude, they'd be like, oh, what? Look at this guy's hips. Like, he's short. They'd be positioning me to be a fullback. I'd have a job, and I would be off this show so quick.
Oh, is that all it's going to take?
I'm sure. Once somebody sees me work out, I just work out in silence, in like a darkness retreat gym.
I have offered many times to let you and Lucas come to one of my workouts, which is certainly not an NFL tight end conditioning program, but it's, Wednesdays are conditioning days. I would love to see you on the skier and the rowing machine and all these other things that I think you would immediately keel over. We would have to have an ambulance on hand.
I think that I would surprise you, one, and I'm not giving that away for free. Two things I'm not doing for free, working out in front of people or showing my feet.
All right, we can negotiate on this point, because I do think it's worth some money to me, even if it's just at my own personal cost, to publicize your embarrassing workout or your embarrassing physical condition. I think I would be willing to finance that. People are asking in the comment section on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, where, of course, you can live stream the show if you are not listening on FM radio. Brandon wants to know if you still have your fixation with rich women who can be your sugar mama, and why that would not apply also to Taylor Swift. Is that just because she's clearly in a committed relationship?
It's clearly because she's too young. I need someone that's on their last legs. I need someone that's an elder statesman in the sugar mama department. I need Dolly Parton. I need someone like that, someone who is at the.
She's got a residency in Vegas. You see that?
Was it a residency? Didn't we? Where did we figure out she's at? So I can book my hotel.
I want to say Caesars, but I know it wasn't the Sphere, because Lucas asked if she had a residency at the Sphere. I said
he was like, "What would be showing on the Sphere for a Dolly Parton concert?" I think you know.
Yeah.
I think you know.
I want to say it's Caesars, but I will confirm that for you here shortly. Anyway, we are going to have Ramon Foster in here to talk about the legal findings yesterday, or the uncovered documents yesterday, about the collusion between the NFL and the efforts to keep player guaranteed money down, and also how much the NFLPA knew about that situation and was not serving the people that they are put in place to serve. It was something that got zero coverage on the major networks yesterday because Ian Rappaport was too busy taking pictures with tight ends, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Except this is an important story, and who better to explain it to you than a player who has been an 11-year NFL veteran and somebody who is very passionate, I'm sure, on the subject of player rights when it comes to negotiating with billionaires. And so if Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter and the rest of them can't make it interesting for you on TV, we're going to do that for you here on radio coming up next.
Friends, if you're new to Nashville or you've been here a long time, odds are you've got a clean-out project that the missus wanted to see done by the spring, and it's almost summer. Well, let me tell you, the most reliable folks I know that can help you are my friends at J&J Services. For over 20 years, J&J Services have been providing dumpsters for local businesses, construction sites, home clean-outs, and demolitions. They provide commercial dumpster service for your favorite restaurants and convenience stores. They provide roll-off dumpster service for everyone from 60-story high-rises to your neighbor's farm. J&J Services can offer trash compactors to make those large loads a little bit smaller, and they can supply you with porta potties for your special event. For the safest, most reliable service that you can find in Middle Tennessee, call them today for a free quote at 615-599-7778. JNJServices.com, where they always keep it trashy.
Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. So we upgrade around here. We send one terrible, loud, annoying co-host, takes up too much room, if not just too much seat surface area. We send him away. We send him to the North Korea of football. We send him to Foxborough, Massachusetts, where he can go do his little soccer game and leave the rest of this to us. We bring in Ramon Foster, which always makes me happy. What are you laughing about?
The North Korea of football.
It is. You've done games there.
Oh, trust me. I had a TED Talk earlier about New England, okay, what Nashville SC need to do to them.
The bus ride in there makes me feel like I'm going to a prison camp.
It's very true. It is tree-lined streets with houses of people outside their lawns watching you parade up and down the street to go get massacred more times than not if you're playing that stuff.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. In fact, Bob Kraft is on the stage at Fanatics Fest. I feel like we're the only ones who didn't get invited to Fanatics Fest this week. But Bob Kraft is doing an interview with Adam Schefter at Fanatics Fest where he's saying it's the two worst years of his 31 or 30-plus years of New England Patriots ownership, which is the last two that he's experienced.
What? Are you serious?
That's what he said.
By the way, how has he gotten popular after his South Florida thing so much that like he's like more pop culture than he's ever been in his life?
Buddy, if you don't think scandals will up your profile, I would point just down, a couple states away to the White House where things seem to elevate profiles regardless of political party. That's not a shot at any specific dignitary.
It's crazy.
I think it tends to help. You know what we need, because Bert has been out here chasing clout since we did the zoo video.
Yeah, that's okay.
And he wants the good clout. He doesn't want the kind of clout that I'll give him when I take a picture of him mid-bite of a sandwich where, I've never seen somebody actually Scooby-Doo a sandwich in real life where you just take the entire hoagie and shove it into your face.
It was the best available bite. The way the bread was shaped, I had to do it like that. You can't eat it from the side.
You literally had the end of your palm at the other end of the sandwich, and you, like a trash compactor, mashed the thing into your face.
Go back to talking about that old man getting a tug, man. Quit talking about me eating a sandwich.
No, I'd much rather you eat it sideways, Bert.
My point is,
I eat corn the short way. I had to eat that sandwich the long way. It was the first bite. It was the first bite.
I'm telling you, there is not a more disgusting duo to go eat lunch with. I'm going to start saying no than Lucas and Robert.
Yeah.
The way that they attack their food is disgusting. You got to have one of those salad bar screens just in front of you to make sure that you don't get hit with any shrapnel. My point with all this, beyond food shaming you, is that you need a scandal to elevate your profile as opposed to me just taking embarrassing pictures of you and posting them on my social media.
Ooh, what would be a good scandal for me?
I think the Bob Kraft scandal fits you just fine.
That's fine. It's okay. I don't think I'm going to get caught up in that.
Are you sure? If you made me pick a scandal that you were most likely to get caught up in, I just imagine at some point in our lives working together, you're going to call me from a place where somebody's got a finger where it shouldn't be a finger.
I wouldn't call you. I would text you afterwards.
I was drinking water right there.
If I'm going to get in trouble with a scandal, it better be for something white collar. It better be for me bettering my life. So embezzlement, fraud, white collar theft, collusion, any of that.
There it is.
So
So
this story where an independent arbitrator goes through and does an investigation, discovers that the NFL was comfortable letting its member franchises, its member clubs know that we are okay with you holding down guaranteed money or working together to hold down guaranteed money in the wake of the Deshaun Watson deal, which most fans, Ramon, are probably in favor of.
Fans, most definitely.
Most fans.
Absolutely.
So I know that we can, it's tough for people who have not been in these rooms on either side of things to relate to an audience how critically important a story like this is, which is why I'm appreciative that you have decided to lend us your time and your talents to help reiterate that fact. Fans are probably for that because no fan base wants the anchor around their necks that the Deshaun Watson contract became. Right. But from a player standpoint, from a labor standpoint, where fans all probably have a boss and are all probably working for some level of company, whether it's local or corporate.
Absolutely.
And have probably at some point in their careers dealt with a situation where they felt like their company was not working in their best interest. What's worse about this story to me is that the NFLPA's role in this, where they are tasked with protecting the labor, have fallen egregiously short. Now, I put all of that in your lap and say go.
Yeah, it's Buck. It's a lot. Never, like, we all, like you said, understand, like, sausages, making it is a dirty game. Like, you just grill it, put it on the bun for me, and let us have it. Like, and that's the way most fans think about this situation, too. It's like, it's billionaires versus millionaires. And more times than not, the billionaires usually win because you can't prove anything that's surrounding what you're claiming that is happening. Even though you can see it, there's situations of it. There's never been anything in black and white. And this word is so problematic for specifically, I think, the union, the NFLPA, and also the NFL, too, because of what the NFLPA refused to do and how they went about it. Now you're going to have, because of these conversations or these discoveries from this arbitrator, bigger conversations that could happen. I'll put it this way. I think most local people are talking about it. I think people that got podcasts are speaking of it. But as far as the big networks, who have you heard it from?
It's not even on the front page of ESPN today.
Today. There was an alert that came to my phone about between 7:30 and 8:30 last night about it. 7:30 at night. Okay, Central. Eastern, most people are chilling at that point. It's been buried, so it lets you know how big of a situation this is. So the conversation was, let's go back to the 2011 uncapped salary cap year. It's uncapped. You expected guys to get paid crazy, buku's amount of money. But they didn't. Except I think there was one or two organizations, Buck, that broke the rules. And I think it was Jerry Jones that chastised them for that. And then you have the conversation, well, I thought you said you guys were in an uncapped year. Why are you chastising him for spending more money than you did? Couldn't prove it, though. This is the first time in the history of the game, I feel like, in the labor agreements that the NFL has had, that you can actually see tangible evidence that was thrown out and proven that the NFL wasn't guilty on, that this has popped up. And the biggest issue I have for myself on this one is the union's role in it, how they got to this point and why. Because Mike Florio and Pablo Torre had been asking about this for a while. It had popped up from time to time on different networks. Why aren't they talking about these three quarterbacks? Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, and also Russell Wilson. They're in this lawsuit, and nobody's giving them the information from behind it. Well, it's because when you have, I guess, go through arbitration, everything's above board. Company phones, hand them over, let's get the records and everything else. Well, in this, if you hadn't heard much about it, J.C. Tretter, who's the president at the time of the NFLPA, the players' union, was bad-mouthing Russell Wilson about his inability to get deals done. He also said that Russ didn't deserve it. In a position to protect the players, we all have private conversations that never leave. But you're never supposed to have this type of conversation right here, at least over text. And it was text thread that they now have used against the NFLPA to say, you know what? Even your own leader said you guys don't deserve full contracts, and this was done fairly. That's the most egregious part of it all. And you look at what's happening right now with the PA, they're supposed to be as loud and rambunctious as you possibly can be because they finally got one. And what I said this morning was this. It's almost like why MPF was suspended 4 games for betting, or why Pete Rose is not going to be allowed into the Hall of Fame until recently he's passed. Now they're having a conversation. It just breaks the trust. And I know the fans don't care right now because football in the fall is going to happen. But what breaks it up is these are your invested dollars that you say, well, I'll also add this to it. I think most fans think it's cool being an owner. It's cool because they're billionaires. They're part of an exclusive club. And they're some of the most powerful people in the country that we don't speak about. We love it. And I think fans don't care about the dollars and cents in it, except these are your dollars and cents that are going to probably a worse squad, right? Because they choose not to spend at certain positions or keep a cap on it. You overpay for guys is allegedly what they're saying Roger Goodell said about this council group that they had. I would say this, for the people that don't care about this, you should be equally upset that the fact that you don't like a guy like Dan Moore being signed, but Roger Goodell pretty much administered, hey, you're going to be paying for guys that don't meet the criteria of being paid this much money, and you can't get the toothpaste back in the tube. That right there sucks to hear. It's like, yeah, players deserve to have this money because there's billions of dollars that's being poured in, and Will brought up another point of it. This is their biggest negotiation tactic for the 18th game. You get more money. Well, where's that money going to? Clearly, it's not to the players, and not to say that the players aren't getting paid because the money has risen up big time. Yeah. But it also takes away from the actual market value of what players think they should be getting paid. Bert's situation with this quarterback, like Lamar, and I know Bert's not directly involved with him, but like Lamar's situation,
he would disagree, by the way.
There's no reason why Lamar shouldn't have had a fully guaranteed contract with, at the time, a 2-time MVP. And no team whatsoever took a sniff at Lamar, even for 2 first-round picks. If you're an owner, you want Lamar Jackson on your team. That, to me, is by far one of the biggest writing on the wall moments, where even Arthur Smith admitted it. Arthur Blank admitted it. Yeah, we talked about it a little bit, but Kraft didn't. So what Pablo Torres said in his podcast was this to me. Is by far one of the best showings of solidarity he's ever seen from any group, and that's the NFL owners. they're choosing not to break.
Which is how people like Dan Snyder last as long as they do, because we're not going to run one of our own out because we don't want that to happen to us. That's the thing that I think is the most relatable out of all of this. For anybody, regardless of what your profession is, to look up at the people who have all of the control and also all of the money, where there are so many fewer of them than there are of the actual workforce. But because there are so many fewer of the NFL owners, it's easier for them to form that, Red Rover, come on over type of line.
Straight up.
Try and break us. No, we're going to break you because you're scattered.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is the thing that really, just in talking to players throughout the course of my career and working with players after their careers, with like you or Ron, with different experiences in different sports and stuff like that, to see the frustration year in and year out about one of the weaker player unions in America's most popular sport. I wish that I could find some way, or that they could find some way to just be more aligned with their interests. But I don't know if that's ever possible, Ramon, given the scale of difference between players on vet minimum deals, players who are UDFAs, players who are making, on an average annual basis, depending on the contract size, $30, $40, $50 million a year, whether that's guaranteed or not. But I just don't understand how there can't be consensus among the players that, no, they're not working in our best interest. We need to work in our own. Let's get this right. Unless there are players, and you may have had this experience, you don't have to name names, unless there are players that aren't actively working in everybody else's interest too and voting on their own independent issues.
So, and that's the part of it also. There are so many, like every classification you have in general population of this nation is in the football league too. You got Democrats, you got Republicans, you got people that like this, don't like that. Like there's a lot of that, but at the end of the day, it usually boils down to the money. It doesn't boil down to health. The safety of it is usually very sketchy also, in a sense. And then it's also, like I said, the classifications. You have guys that are making $50+ million a year, and you got guys now at vet minimum that's in year 12. You know what I'm saying? So it's different class. My need for money is different from the next person's need for money, and my lifestyle too. And that's where the discrepancies happen between ownership and the players. Because at the end of the day, they can hold the line a whole lot longer than the players ever has. Because one, you don't have the evidence to prove that they're doing anything illegal, but you also just don't have the bag. One of the biggest it was fascinating having the negotiations this last time, which I was a part of because I was a union rep for the Steelers. And it's, to your point about solidarity, it's hard getting guys on the phone to have conversations about this is what they've presented to us. Do you like this? Do you not like this? Who's going to speak up? Because one thing guys don't want to be is considered a fool in front of the peers. That's the issue that you have, where you have the other side, to your point, Buck, about it being very cushy with how the owners live and it being a smaller group of people, even with the minority owners that they have. The solidarity is thick, and they can wait you out. Like, we can go, I think, locally with this one. I hope I'm right on this. But in the first lockout that happened in 10 and 11, there were guys taking out loans that was charging them 50 to 70% interest rates.
Ugh.
But we weren't even out of football yet. Like, there were situations where guys.
Oh, my God.
I'll say this, like I said, the NFL in most leagues is generally like the general population. There are guys living check to check. So at the end of the day, Buck, when August hits, and guys don't have checks from February through September, they're going to cave. And I think that point of it this time around needs to change if they're trying to get, and I'll say this too, there has to be a study, and we hadn't talked about it in totality, but I just hit my 5 years in retirement. You get 5 years of coverage for health insurance in the NFL. You feel more after year 5 is what I would tell you.
Yeah.
And that is something that if the league, and I think they do because nobody has an odd number of games in a season, if the league wants the 18th, the fact that we know that you talk, I won't even use the collude word in these allegations because nothing's been proven because it's an arbitrator. If we now know that you talk about what you can and cannot do, we also know there's probably conversation about what you can give out as far as supplying guys with more than 5 years of post-game medical. And it's a fascinating approach, Buck, to what we already knew versus it being in black and white right now. It is there should be more noise about this, and it's not, and I don't think it's going to be.
Lies and collusion.
Yeah, lies and collusion. But, this is people at the end of the day, it's whether you're talking about sports, whether you're talking about pop culture, whether you're talking about society, politics, whatever the case may be, like people are just looking for the distraction from the detail. They don't want to get into the detail because the details are uncomfortable. The details are hard. They're complicated and all these different things. But at the end of the day, they ultimately do affect the people that are voting on them. And in this case, we're obviously talking about the NFLPA, the NFL, the collective bargaining agreement, the players, and they're rolling it versus the ownership. It's just, I don't know why it's a cycle that continues to repeat itself no matter what level of life we're talking about here. But it does seem to be, I'd probably use this word too much as an SAT word, but it does seem to be a microcosm for a lot larger issues that people deal with in life.
You heard a little bit of it if you read through or listened to the podcast that Pablo Torre put out on just the differences in J.C. Tretter versus Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson probably should have gotten mostly guaranteed all of his contract with what Denver needed, new ownership, knew the billionaires could pay it out and they don't have to, fish for money in that situation. But J.C. Tretter, because not every player is judged the same. You got to have a certain status, I guess, for certain guys. I thought Lamar would have had it. I thought Kyler earlier on would have had it too. But this is J.C. Tretter, who's a seasoned veteran at the time, who's the NFLPA president, texting the former executive director, Maury Smith, calling pretty much, no, he did call him. He said Russ didn't deserve it, which the owners used to say, aha, even you don't believe guaranteed contracts should be a part of it. But it was the other side of it too, to where you have those infighting and self-hate because the do's or the haves and the have-nots. J.C. Tretter called, changed the letter on this one, but he called Russell Wilson a wussy. Like, as if he wasn't mentally competent enough or just not strong enough as a player to demand that from the ownership in Denver. NFLPA
also,
president shouldn't say
Sidebar. Who the hell does J.C. Tretter think he is?
We're talking about a Super Bowl champion here.
That's fine.
A proven quarterback. No, I'm talking about Russell. Like, this is him saying this. Yeah, I'm with you. Who does he think in that role? So, to your point, Buck, like the looking down on the workers because you hold the title of a president is more egregious than the collusion side of it.
Especially when you yourself were a player and you understand how the other side lives, and then you take the ownership side in this particular situation. I believe the kids call that an op.
Yeah, an op is what it is. Because like the way it works is you have the reps and you got the alternate reps. I was a rep for the Steelers, and there's reps on this team too currently. But then there's the executive board, and that's, I think, 12 people that's voted in, pretty much a council. And then you got the executive director and the president. Like the executive director and the president have hand-in-hand straight talks with the commissioner and the powers of being the NFL. So the way he's viewed now, in my personal opinion, and I text somebody about him yesterday just to see, man, what's going on with him? No reply back. But it compromised one of the strongest stances you ever had to get more and also leverage yourself in the next 5 years for what's ultimately going to be this 18th game. We talk about health and safety. We can talk about the money all you want to. There are going to be more guys that spend money on the medical bills or the upkeep of their bodies post-football than they ever did while they played because, again, quality of life, I don't think we think about while we're playing. But what I would tell you is everybody game ends, and not everybody's making $50 million a year. So decide on what's most important this next time around because they got the most leverage that I feel like any union has ever had besides the NBA at this point.
Yeah. It's to your point about considering quality of life while you're in it, and I know we got to get out of here because Ramon has worked way too much this morning already. It's just, you're asking the professional risk takers, you guys, to consider additional risk. And that's, not that people aren't capable of broader thought that way, but in the moment, especially at that particular age range, it's just a really tough thing to have to factor in without knowing what exists on the other side. It's almost like, you go through your 20s or your teens or whatever the case may be, and your parents are telling you, trying to impart on you or impart to you all this different kind of wisdom. It doesn't really hit until you get to your 30s and you're like, oh my God, they were right about everything.
Yeah.
Everything. What were we doing the entire time? Buddy, it's good to see you.
You too, Buck, man.
Good to have you in. See, this is so much better than when Lucas is here. Was it good for you?
Yeah, Lucas has me join his bullying of you. That's what he does.
What do I have to do? What do I have to pay for you to swap hats with Buck for the day and make him wear that Kangol?
He can get it for free. I'm gonna take it off
Because you can rock the Kangol.
I think Buck killed.
You don't think I can?
Yeah.
I definitely think Buck's killing.
Let's see.
You don't
it
think
then.
so?
Yeah.
So we
Find
do
out
it on
next.
camera. There it is.
Are you interested in wealth management that's designed to protect, maintain, and expand your financial portfolio? Trajan Wealth offers retirement income planning services that start with an in-depth understanding of your short and long-term goals. Call Trajan Wealth today to learn more about these strategies because you want to be prepared for the future, and that means having a good plan and making smart investments. Trajan Wealth offers tactical investments that focus on long-term core capital preservation. Trajan Wealth is your local trusted financial fiduciary with 2 locations in Brentwood and Franklin. Their number is 615-270-5000. That's 615-270-5000. Or visit them online at TrajanWealth.com. Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. This is a paid advertisement. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. Always appreciate the big fella hanging out. Ramon Foster, Ramon and Will, 6 to 10 a.m. It's where you can catch them. I'm sure they've been having very engaging conversations on that subject, as well as many others. Speaking of former Volunteers offensive linemen, though, we are going to have Jack Jones hang out with us, too. We'll talk some Vols. We had to get our fix without Lucas, so dip into a little college football conversation in the 11 o'clock hour. I like to use Robert and Lucas as a gauge for how you guys, the audience, feel about any given subject. And I don't know. Lucas, I feel like I lose when we get into the administrative stuff of everything that's not college football, which is fair because it's just not what he's interested in. You are as big an NFL football fan as I know, talking to Robert. And it's not like because I know you're doing stuff back there that you're involved with and you're trying to field phone calls and you're trying to, check logs and make sure commercial breaks are right. You've got things going on, even though I like to make fun of you for how little you actually do. Are you somebody who your eyes kind of glaze over when we start to get into this kind of stuff where we're talking about CBAs, we're talking about union negotiations, we're talking about ownership that you can't, like stories that you can't really sink your teeth into if you're a fan, but that have huge impact on the way that we consume all of this stuff. I don't know. I guess I'm using you as kind of my litmus test here.
Well, I don't mind that, and initially my eyes do glaze over.
Yeah,
it's kind of
which
like
is fair.
They're going to give you homework for the summer. It's like, oh, you have to read Siddhartha or you have to read Hatchet, and you're like, I don't want to read this book. I don't want to read it, and then you read the first page. You're like, oh, the plane crashes. This kid's stuck on an island alone? And you get into it. And that's kind of how I am. The details come out. I'm not somebody who's going to flip through a 175-page manifesto to look for little nuggets, but I will read people who are smart talking about this or smart discussing this. I think Will did a great job this morning. Zach Lyons did a great job yesterday. The interesting parts are, how does it affect team building? That's what I give a crap about. So,
and this directly impacts the ability to formulate a roster.
Well, look how hampered the Cleveland Browns are because of that huge allotment to Deshaun Watson, and he's not playing. Now, the quarterbacks who have signed deals since then, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Herbert, there are a ton of dudes who, if they wanted to have a case to say, was I also collusioned against? Or did NFL teams go hey, yeah, what's the real word?
Colluded.
I like collusioned. Was I collusioned against? Did other teams, similar to, I heard Will talking
How
this
did you
morning,
know that I was going to correct you?
Because I saw your face. You can't wait to tell me when I'm wrong. I heard Will this morning talking about how, I think this was a new piece that came out from Florio, how Justin Herbert, the Chargers, texted the Arizona Cardinals, hey, love what you did with Kyler. That's going to help us with Justin Herbert. Mm-hmm. So, those conversations happen. You'll remember Jalen Hurts signed his deal, a fairly good deal for him ahead of winning the Super Bowl this previous season. A lot of people, that was the groundwork that got Lamar Jackson's deal done. So how much of that is happening where Howie is texting Eric? How much of the owners going back and forth? That is what's interesting.
If you're a Bengals fan, you're probably freaking the hell out. How much of this are we impacted by? Even if it's not really, and you just have a cheap ownership group, or whatever the case may be, or a F around and find out type of ownership group, as the Bengals appear to be, of course it would send you spiraling into the tinfoil hat stuff, even because this exists. There's just enough evidence out there. I was texting a former player rep yesterday about this to just kind of see, all right, what am I missing here? What parts of the story am I missing that I would not be privy to because I'm not in these negotiations and I'm only texting people or calling people after the fact to find out about it. And, after he had the opportunity to review some of the information, he was like, well, yeah, we all know this is going on. This is just, now it's in writing for us to be able to latch on to. But the question is, will there be enough momentum to actually enact change, which is Lucas's whole point about this story, because you're not going to get fans invested in it, really. You'll be able to hold their attention for a second on it, and then you'll move on to the next thing, because fantasy football and training camp and all these other things are right around the corner.
NFL teams have to look at the Cincinnati Bengals as they're probably texting 30 other teams except for them. Yes, continue to be buffoons, continue to hold on to your money. Don't be a Scrooge. Don't pay anyone, because it makes all of us look better comparatively.
I think it's notable that the NFLPA, neither the NFL, I get it from the NFL, but the NFLPA hasn't even put a statement out on this, which means they're trying to keep it as quiet as humanly possible. It's rotten. It sucks. Anyway, now to seamlessly pivot, there's two things that are of note for you guys out there, unrelated to the CBA conversation and the collusion conversation. We can put that to bed for now. When more information becomes available, if there's actual movement on the thing, obviously this is the time of the year that we would spend a great deal of time on that. For Titans fans, they have just announced open training camp dates. That is going to be something that a lot of you have been interested in. There will be an opportunity to attend a total of 7 open practices. They just sent us the release at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park and 1 at Nissan Stadium. All open practices will be free to attend with a ticket that is claimed online. So it's their back-together weekend situation that they are getting you guys involved with. You can claim your free tickets. I don't know. It doesn't say specifically whether there's a cap on those tickets. I'm sure that there will be for at least the ones at the facility. I can't imagine they would have, 68,000 available tickets for an open practice at Nissan Stadium, but I would imagine that would be the one that the vast majority of you would be able to attend as opposed to the ones at the facility.
Would those also, see, that was my question. What's the overlap in how many open dates would hypothetically our show be there, or the morning show, or whose show?
Well, we're always there. I don't know. I guess we haven't talked about who's going to training camp and who's not. I feel like the morning show and us have gone at least together the last 2 years. There was a couple of years where it was just me.
That's correct. But I didn't know if those were the specific dates that we were also there. Or is it
we don't, well, we've got our credential. They just sent us our credential application, like our annual credential application for training camp.
They must have lost mine.
Yes, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So we don't have the actual schedule for us because we will have more practices than will be open to fans. I'm going to assume that all of these dates are going to be dates that we're out there, except for Saturday, August the 2nd, because we don't do the show, obviously, on the weekends.
And it's 2 days before my birthday.
Is it? Their first open practice is the first day of camp, July 23rd. So I don't know if that is something that is, so that's something that's also part of the ticket, the claimed ticket online, TennesseeTitans.com/training camp. I know that is relevant information to the vast majority of you. So, it does say a limited number of free tickets for open practices and Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park will be available on a first-come, first-served basis beginning Wednesday, July the 9th at 10 a.m. So you have to wait a few more days to be able to get in on that, and you can have the opportunity to claim those tickets and get to see some Titans training camp practices and hang out with us. I don't know that there will be quite the fireworks of last year's open training camp practices. What day was that? Was it like Cub Scouts Day?
I remember it like it was yesterday. July 13th. Yes.
It was some kind of day where there was a lot of small children around us throughout the course of it. At least they got a show.
A whole lot of mama going on. That may be the white-collar crime that I have to subject myself to. What if I was able to scalp all of the Titans fans' training camp tickets.
Resell them.
And then resell them.
Ticketmaster your way through this situation.
Yes. I love that.
All right.
So we're
on the air July the 9th at 10 a.m. Are you going to are we just going to lose you for the first 20 minutes of the show while you try and scalp Titans fans out of their tickets?
I'll be like, I wouldn't be, what was the spy's name in the Nixon case? I wouldn't be Deep Throat. I think I would be Deep Toot. Be like, meet Deep Toot outside in the parking lot for your Titans tickets. You got what I need? You have my cash?
I can't imagine. I just have a picture of you in my head, a mental image of you in the studio running around to every monitor that we had in the building, creating a fake email, and then gathering up as many free Titans training camp practice tickets as you can just to price gouge people. I'm supposed to be the bad guy on the show.
I wouldn't price gouge people. I would pay what was fair. What would you pay to go to training camp?
Me?
Yeah, if you were a Titan. Asking the wrong guy. Aren't they free? Couldn't I sell them for like $10 hypothetically and make my money back?
I can't believe you just asked me that question.
I wouldn't pay. I am paid to be there. Yeah, we get it. We get it. Walter Cronkite sounding ass.
In what world? You can't even say that name, right?
Is his name not Walter Cronkite? What'd I say?
That's not what you said. The dumbest thing in sports this week. Do I have Sounds tickets to give away? I think I do.
It is not just Sounds tickets. We have new giveaways to do. If you tell us the dumbest thing in sports, are you ready for Global Soccer Showdown? See football legends collide at the 2025 FIFA Club World Cup at Geodis Park.
Fun.
Tickets June 26th, 6 p.m. in Nashville. Tell us what the dumbest thing in sports are. But it is also Winning Wednesday for your opportunity to win tickets to go see the Nashville Sounds. Listen for your cue to call 615-737-1045 for your chance to win Sounds tickets, not just with our show, but all day. With every show, you already had an opportunity with Ramon, Kayla, and Will. You'll have an opportunity at some point today with the Buck Rising Show, Cover 2, and 3HL.
Added an extra name into that first one, didn't you?
What'd I say? Oh, of course I have it.
Go to break.
What's going on? 11 o'clock. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. Sparse news day in the NFL as Aaron Rodgers adds on the Pat McAfee show yesterday that he's, quote, pretty sure this is it. The last season of his NFL career, Rodgers signed a 1-year with $13 million contract to go to Pittsburgh with Mike Tomlin. Pretty big news day in the NBA as the NBA draft is tonight in Brooklyn. Draft gets started at 7 p.m., but the real draft starts after number 1, where the Mavs are expected to select Duke's Cooper Flag. San Antonio, Philly, Charlotte, and Utah round out the top 5. Trade yesterday in the NBA, Atlanta and Brooklyn finalizing a 3-team trade that sends Kristaps Porzingis and a second-round pick to the Hawks, Terrence Mann and Atlanta's number 22 pick to the Nets, and George Niang and a second-rounder to the Celtics. Dallas Mavericks 9-time NBA All-Star Kyrie Irving declined his $43 million player option and intends to sign a 3-year, $119 million contract with the franchise. The deal includes a player option in 27 and 28. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
That's right, 615-737-1045. The dumbest thing in sports this week. You call us, you tell us what that is. What is the dumbest thing in sports this week? And we will give you 2 tickets to tomorrow's it's the Club World Cup match at Geodis Park, and Sounds tickets. We also have Sounds tickets for you to win. 615-737-1045 is the number. All right, shocking to no one, Aaron Rodgers is a frequent contributor to the dumbest thing in sports this week. He is doing so yet again, not because he has decided to tell the world that this is his last year. How obnoxious is the Aaron Rodgers retirement tour going to be?
Doesn't bother me at all.
Not at all?
Nope.
Why? Because you are a Ravens fan and you're hoping that your pass rush preys on his downfall. You're hoping that you can kick this feeble old man into the dust?
Yes. How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man? I hope they just get to tee off on him. So continue to spin this yarn about, it's my last year. I can't wait to be out there on the field with my boys again. I cannot wait. Keep running your trap, dog.
What old people do you know that actually talk like that?
My grandpa, God rest his soul. Get out of the house. Stop coming in here and eating all my food.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Did you also sleep eat at your grandparents' home? This is a conversation for another day.
I did.
Aaron Rodgers is yet again the dumbest thing in sports this week. So he announced that he had recently gotten married when he joined the Steelers for mandatory minicamp. Because he is a person of public note, people are interested in his relationship. Pat McAfee, he made his weekly appearance on Pat McAfee where he's talking about this probably being his last year. But he also was asked questions about the relationship that he's currently in, and his response was to say, my private life is staying private. He also went on to discuss the idea of the fact that when he does retire, we will probably not hear from him anymore because he would prefer to live a private life. This is the quote. When he's done playing football, you won't see me. This is the man who tried to host a reality television show or a game show, not a reality TV show, but a game show during his NFL playing career. You're just going to fade into the sunset? Aaron Rodgers, who's thoroughly enjoying the idea that he's the biggest topic of conversation year in, year out for the last 6 off seasons. I feel like I've had to do, oh my God, did he buy property in Franklin? Is he going to join the Tennessee Titans? Oh no, he's going to the Jets. Oh my God, how much fun will that be? Oh no, he blew out his Achilles 4 snaps into the season, and we still have to hear about this mother bleeper. Aaron Rodgers is got to be the most stop talking about me, stop asking about me, oh, please, God, pay attention to me person I've ever seen, discussed, covered in my lifetime. This man is not just going to fade into the darkness, even though that's what he tells us all. Even when he fades into the darkness, even when he goes into his darkness retreats, he tells everybody this. He's not just going to disappear. What the hell does he think he's been doing for the last 5 years? He's my dumbest thing in sports this week.
Yeah, I don't blame you. For Aaron, when he initially got the opportunity to host Jeopardy, I thought he would be exceptional. This is before my opinion of him had been skewed by darkness retreats and not showing up to Jets camp and then bringing the flag out. I thought he would be an exceptional Jeopardy host.
Oh, you anti-American? You had an issue with him running out with the flag?
No, I had an issue with the pomp and circumstance surrounding it. It just seemed like, okay, why don't they do that every year? Why is it just Aaron Rodgers? Either way, my dumbest thing in sports goes to who someone could regularly be claimed as the dumbest thing in sports, Emmanuel Acho. I've already had this rant with Buck once, so he'll have to pardon my the intrusion. But this is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. This is the most summer topic thing I've ever heard of. So Emmanuel Acho decided that he was going to come up with an algorithm of sorts to figure out your legacy in the NBA, how many championships you won, how many teams you played for.
Not something productive like these gambling experts that come up with their own models to help you win money. No, this is just Emmanuel Acho trying to do championship ring math on television.
It makes no sense to me, and we're all dumber for hearing it, so you guys have to listen to it too.
A very simple legacy formula. It's very simple. I was not great at math. You don't have to be for it. It's simple. Championships divided by teams you played for is how great your legacy. The higher the number on the far right column, the greater your legacy is. As you can see, Kobe Bryant, 5 chips, 1 team. Tim Duncan, 5 chips, 1 team. Steph Curry, 4 chips, 1 team. LeBron James, 4 chips, 3 teams. Obviously, notably left off there is Michael Jordan, but y'all get it. Y'all can do the math.
Oh, we're just going to skip Michael Jordan, the guy who's won the most championships, because it frauds your argument to say, oh, how many teams did he play for? Oh, remember when he played in Washington? Yep, half his legacy. Chop it right in half. You played for 2 teams. I saw
Michael Jordan play for the Wizards.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry for you and your loss. But he continues to go down this rabbit hole.
Championships you win by the teams you play for, to me, is your legacy. Dirk Nowitzki, 1 championship, 1 team. But now KD, 2 championships, but he's been on 5 teams at this junction in time. Your legacy is dependent upon how many championships you win and how many teams that you have to play for to do it. The more you travel, the more you water down your legacy. Just because the current culture suggests that players move around ain't mean that's what it's supposed to be, because Jokic ain't moving around. Giannis ain't moving around. Steph ain't moving around. And outside of a forgettable year, not by Shai's own mention, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander ain't moving around. Now to Shady's point, and Shady made a beautiful one. How can you fault KD for going to go get something, a championship? I'm not faulting him for going to go get it. I'm faulting him because he can't bring it to him. That's why he's going to go get it. You're only going to go get it because it won't come to you. Shai brought a championship to him. Giannis brought a championship to him. Jokic brought a championship to him.
As he's pantomiming a fishing rod.
I want to know which one of these mouth breathers is sighing an agreement alongside him. Just like, yeah, you really nailed that one, Acho.
Let me play the ass end of this for you, because the guy is so complimentary of this. I truly believe that he is just a standing, ambiguous figure to be on this show, so we stop thinking about Joy Taylor. Everyone stop thinking about what Emmanuel Acho and Joy Taylor are doing behind the scenes. Here's a old white man. Listen to how this guy sounds.
That is your legacy.
That is the greatest, nerdiest take that you have ever had.
That is the stupidest thing that I have ever... Shut up!
What did you say he looked like the other night on primetime?
Like a stunt double Seventh Heaven father.
That's such a good pull by you.
Like, he just looks like he would be like, which one of these kids are smoking? And then they find out it was actually the wife smoking because she's stressed out about the mortgage payment. Either way, whenever you have to classify someone's legacy, guys, I figured it out. Like math nerd, finger in the air. I know exactly how to calculate the people's legacy. Okay, so by your calculations, Shaq is not one of the greatest big men of all time because he only won 4 championships and he played for 6 teams. Your argument's irrelevant. It's stupid. So, Emmanuel Acho, stick to hooking up with your coworkers. Stick to worrying about what's happening over at Fox or how you can weasel your way into something else.
Literally sticking to your coworkers.
The stupidest smart man in America, Emmanuel Acho, that's my dumbest thing in sports.
It's just so much there. There's so much. he seems like a nice enough person, but I cannot stand him on television.
It's the mannerisms.
Is that a part of the appeal? Like, he's just going to be loud no matter what he does, and that's enough. I mean, that is a certain formula that works for people in sports media. I guess I could probably say it works for me. I'm just louder than everybody else.
I don't know. It seems like he wants to convince us all that he's smarter than us. But through some sheer luck that he's landed in this position.
Oh, I feel seen.
Take some calls.
Oh, no. It cut too close to the bone there, buddy. I don't like that one. 615-737-1045. What's the dumbest thing in sports this week? Charlie in Franklin is up.
Yeah, I've got a simple one. It seems like you guys kind of rant on your own ideas. But anyway, my rant would be that Boone took the pitcher out in the New York game in the ninth inning on pitching a no-hitter. That just to me was the dumbest thing in sports. I'm done today. Thank you.
Okay, Charlie, we appreciate the call.
Well, congratulations, Charlie. You're going to go to the World Cup. Oh, and he hung up. He don't even want him.
Wait, what do we have to do to give away these soccer tickets?
I don't know. Somebody, if you want some soccer tickets, like, I hate to do caller number 5.
No, I refuse. I think
the next person that calls in here.
Lamest thing in sports talk radio. Caller number, don't do this right now, but the caller number 5 thing where we just give you, it's like the Pavlov's dog thing. You start to hear the cup of food shake, your mouth starts to water. No, we're not doing that. You have to work for these things, even if you don't want them.
People don't want to witness soccer history as Al Hilal takes on CF Pachuca. Did I say that correctly?
There's 0% chance. It's Lucas's nickname. It's the most bizarre nickname. He had this whole rant about his soccer buddies used to call him, what's that word?
Pachuca.
Okay.
I hope.
Ugh, it sounds like a relationship, like pet name. I don't like that.
Oh, hey, Pachuca.
Little Pachuca.
It does sound like a pet
I don't
name.
like that at all. Jack Jones next. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. For some reason, the show cannot shake former Tennessee Volunteers offensive linemen, whether it's Ramon Foster, whether it's Thomas Edwards, who apparently is the next big thing in country music, or Jack Jones, who joins us now, hanging out in studio. I see Jack in the mornings when I go work out. We've been talking about putting something together on the radio show for a while. It's good to see you, big fella.
Good to see you too, Buck. Thanks for having me. Ramon Foster, what a legend, man. What a legend. Trailblazer.
So how much interaction did you have with like guys like Ramon? Because alumni come back all the time. Tennessee is one of the best universities out there, I think, at making sure that the former players and coaches and people who have helped build up that program stay involved with that program, and God knows they're vocal about it. But, like, how much were you exposed to Ramon while you were a player after Ramon had obviously, done his time?
Yeah, Ramon, is one of those guys that went out of his way, I think, to come back and talk to the O-line. He was playing a little bit at the time. My O-line coach at the time was born and raised in Pittsburgh, Don Mahoney, blue-collar guy. So we watched a lot of...
Pittsburgh football people are different.
Oh, blue-collar Pittsburgh. That was Coach Mo for you, but great guy. But we watched a ton of their film when they had DeCastro, great offensive Pouncey, Ramon. We watched a ton of their pass protection and just how they scheme stuff up. And then you'd get to have Ramon come in the offseason, talk to us, and come out to... my first memory of Ramon is him walking out for we were at a spring practice in the stadium in Neyland, and he walks out there, and I'm like, who is that mountain? Because he was from across the field. I'm like, who is that guy? And
how much weight is he down, Robert? Like he's significantly smaller than he was during his playing career.
Yeah, super lean now.
I mean, so he's every bit of 6'6". I don't want to put his weight out there for people, but he's three something.
He's a big guy. He's a big guy.
And he's like 3 flat.
That's now 3 flat.
Yeah, I think he got to 3 flat.
Good for him.
Let's go, Ramon.
Hell yeah,
man. But skinny. Then he's probably skinny.
And like the things that you guys do to keep on weight during the season is crazy to me. Like no human being should have to put their body through that.
Well, that dude walked out there on the field, and I was like, I had to rethink about like, oh, so this is an NFL offensive lineman. Ramon looks. I mean, dude is massive, and he was always great, though, about coming back, talking to us. If you've ever been around Ramon, listen to him. He's a fun guy, one of the nicest dudes. Tennessee guy like myself, which I love. Always love to see the Tennessee O-line pipeline. You got him, Trey Smith, some absolute legends, Philip Fulmer.
Yeah,
there you go, right there. I think his grandson just
JP Peace, I think is the kid's name. Yeah, he just committed to Tennessee.
Love to see it.
It would be a stunner if the grandson of Phil Fulmer did not go play college football at UT. Like I feel like that's got to. God knows what that conversation is like. All right, son, you have choices, but you really don't.
Yeah, you're going to Tennessee. You excited, son? Yeah, Philip Fulmer, absolute legend. He was the AD for a little while I was there, and when I got done and got hurt and couldn't play anymore, he was, come meet with me in my office. Anything I can do to help you. Just a great, solid dude. VFL, but things didn't work out, but he was always really good to me.
No, and I think, but like immediately when you pop on here, we're getting a bunch of comments about you representing Murfreesboro and how much meaning playing for the University of Tennessee has when you are a state of Tennessee product. And like for people who are not familiar with your story, because there's a good many people outside of the borough, even though the borough we are very
Little Nashville,
strong,
man.
In Murfreesboro.
You're kind of honorary borough.
Yeah, it depends on who you ask. It depends on where we're at in the timeline. But like your journey from prospect to college football player, and then obviously your college career being derailed by injury, I guess, we have plenty of time here. You don't have to summarize it, but just kind of walk people through your timeline, how you got to UT, and what happened once you got to Tennessee.
Sure. Yeah, I went to Oakland High School. Loved it. Love Murfreesboro, born and raised. Parents are from there. I like to call it Little Nashville. But we went to Oakland, was 2-time Mr. Football my junior and senior year, then graduated and early enrolled at Tennessee. I was offered when I was a sophomore, the end of my sophomore year, to play at Tennessee, committed 2 days later to Willie Martinez. Didn't take any other official visits. I was always very respectful. I remember getting a call from Nick Saban, which is surreal when you're, 16, 17 years old, and just being like, hey, man, I appreciate you. This is the biggest honor ever that you're calling me, but I'm going to Tennessee, see you in a couple of years, you know. And I was always, you know, that's how I always was. When I was 10 years old, you know, birthday present wasn't going to Titans game. Love the Titans. Grew up going to the games, but birthday present was getting to go see a game in Knoxville. So there was never a question for me. Went to Tennessee, was lucky enough to get some playing time early. My first start in 2015 was at Alabama. I'd gone in the week before. We came back versus Georgia. We were down a lot at halftime. Got thrown in, myself and Chance Hall. Came back, had a bye week, then got to start versus Bama. Then played quite a bit my freshman year. Sophomore year, had a couple more starts. Kind of similar thing. Was kind of like sixth man, getting a couple starts under my belt. And then junior and senior year, I was about to kind of, you know, hopefully be one of the leaders on the offensive line and get a lot of playing time. Then I had a, you know, tough neck injury. I have cervical stenosis in my neck, so I was unable to keep playing. But I'm just grateful for the opportunity that I had. My dream was to run out of the T. Like I said, it wasn't the Titans, it wasn't this, wasn't that, NIL, all this and that. Like, I got to go play for the Vols. I love Tennessee, and I stand on that till the end of time. But, yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Jack Jones, former Tennessee offensive lineman, hanging out in studio with us. You want to plug your socials?
Man, Jack Jones 66. Give me a follow.
He's got music opinions. Him and Ramon differ on music opinions.
I have an alias, Big Chevy, on Instagram. It's my country rap alias account. If you want to check that out.
There is Big Chevy. Like, there's actual material that Big Chevy has out there in the world.
Yeah, Big Chevy could come in here and do an interview too, but it might be a little different style. You know, he's a little reckless.
We'll do Jack Jones today. We'll do Big Chevy the next time you come visit with us. So with you mentioned NIL and you mentioned your recruitment process. You obviously are still attuned to things that are going on.
Yeah.
You're obviously aware of the flux that name, image, and likeness funding plus the transfer portal has thrown college football into. From your perspective, knowing what you went through and knowing what kids are doing now, how do you how do you process that? It's got to be a wild thing to think about. And I know the house settlement and all the different things.
Yeah, we got the house settlement.
We love to see that. We love to see that. Former athletes who deserve to get paid or were being profited off of now stand to make some share of the money back, which is a part of the house settlement. But for you, I guess, walk me through how you've processed all the changes to college football.
Yeah, I'm a fan. Obviously, I'm a player. So I would have loved to have a little extra change coming out of school, especially for someone like me that got hurt my third year, never got a shot to keep playing. That money would have been saved and it would have been used in the right way. Not to say I might have had a little Chevy sitting up on some 24s riding around Knoxville.
I just can't imagine you with money in college.
Oh, yeah. It would have been
a disaster.
It would have been fun for everybody. I would have made sure everybody had fun. But no, I think, so my the big thing overall is they should still make guys sit out a year if they transfer with the NIL. They took that rule where you can transfer and you don't got to sit out, and it gave the colleges zero, like they can, if you had that rule there where they had to still sit out a year, you have a little leverage from the colleges, and I think it would be a little more, because then you're paying a guy to come sit out for a little while and he's not really going to produce and you're throwing money at him. So I think that, if you wanted my big opinion, that would be my opinion. I think, and I'm for the guys getting paid. I think the old school mentality, kind of I was talking about just buying a bunch of stuff. You see, all the, guys getting G-Wagons and everything, but your average O-line guy, he's coming out of school and he's able to maybe buy his first house and kind of get an upper leg on life. And he's given a lot of his time and energy to football and his body. You see me limping around Booth Camp. Shout out Booth Camp.
Sean is going to call us and be like, no, it's BC Block, you idiots.
BC Block.
BC Block, that's right. Over there.
Hey, come run the BC Block 10K in August. I'll be out there.
Are you doing it?
I ran 6 yesterday. I got 6 in an hour and 2 minutes.
You're kidding. I was thinking about that, but then I didn't realize 10K meant 6 miles. I'm like, I don't think I've ran 6 miles in my life, Jack.
Yeah, man. I can show you, dude. You got to hit those treadmill classes.
Coach me, yeah. You got to get coached me up one time.
But yeah, man, I think the NIL's, it's just crazy. It's just crazy to see it. I'm happy for everybody. I think a lot of the resentment you get from it is, you're seeing these 18-year-old kids making millions of dollars.
Sure.
It's okay for someone the natural response would be like, damn, that's not cool. Why isn't that? But like, for me, it's like, man, if you're an American that's 18 years old in the United States of America, you need to be able to make money off your name. I should have been able to go home and have camps every summer. There's a lot of good that can come from it. So, yeah, I'm pro. It's getting wild. I don't know how you regulate it, because if they do regulate it, then the kids can just go outside of it and get, sponsorships from whoever, not through the university. But I'm pro NIL for sure.
Well, it's funny because, and I'm sure you experienced this, especially being local, but how many people just in our live stream chat, and I'm sure people listening, in Murfreesboro and in other parts of Middle Tennessee are familiar with your recruitment and who you were coming out of high school. And as Brandon on YouTube says, Jack would have gotten a pretty large check if it was today.
Hey,
so
Butch Jones would have had to cough it up, baby. Oh, Butch.
I can't imagine. But
Butch with that checkbook, he was a good recruiter. He would have been running around. NIL would have been perfect for him. But
Butch was and I know you still keep in touch with Butch, but he's just one of the more. It's the only person I know you are at least aware of my co-host Lucas. Lucas, the only person that he actively preys on
their downfall.
A human being's downfall is Butch Jones.
That's crazy.
I mean, but that's the complicated.
Well, he gave me a shot to play at Tennessee.
Tennessee fans have with him, though. It's different for you.
He offered me to play at Tennessee, so I will be forever grateful for that. And I'm not, he was my coach. I don't talk bad about him. I think there is a lot. I told you at booth camp, I was like, man, if I could get in there and do a sit down and just talk to Butch, and just be like, let's just get it all on the table.
Do you think he'd ever really open up about the Tennessee stuff, though? I just can't imagine.
I don't know. I would do it in a way where he could, he could look at the final edit and it would be with like in good taste, but I think it would be kind of like therapeutic for for Butch. Kind of get out like a little therapy session with old 66.
I can't imagine. There's so many questions that anybody would have for Butch Jones. But like you said, I mean, and that's kind of the situation, because you talk about athletes utilizing their platform, not trafficking, but benefiting from their name, image, and likeness. That's something that you are exclusively, you and other people who've
Sure.
been recruited by Butch, who have been signed by Butch, committed to Butch, all these different things, who he has an actual relationship. That's something new for people like me to have to adjust to the idea of, no, you're way better equipped to do an interview like that, even though I may ask Butch tougher questions.
Sure.
Not tougher questions, but you understand. I would go at it from a different perspective.
Sure.
You would actually be able, somebody like you would actually be able to do that.
Well, the crazy thing for me was I came in with Alex Jones, Zach Jancic, Will Martinez. We're all the same age. So like, not only was it like the coaches or Butch experience just being a player, like I was kicking it with all of the coaches' sons, and then, somebody would get fired and they're still on the team. And it was just a crazy dynamic coming in with all those guys, and they're all solid dudes. But yeah, it would be incredible to be able to sit down with Butch. I think Tennessee fans would like it too, just to kind of get everything on the table. Let's talk about it. What happened?
Who would they want to tell all more from, Lane or Butch?
Well, I think Butch. I think Lane's would tell you. I think Lane tells everybody. He's tweeting. He's tweeting right now. I mean, Kiffin's great too. I thought he was. I think he's hilarious. I think he does a great job. He's very unique in the way he uses his social media and does all that stuff. It was so funny. I kind of wish that golf ball would have hit him in the leg. I think that would have been funnier. But yeah, I think Butch would be great. There's just so many unknowns there. There's so many speculations, and nothing's ever as good, nothing's ever as bad. You think, and
Sure.
I think it would just be cool to talk about.
Jack Jones hanging out in studio with us, former Tennessee offensive lineman. I wonder what you think of the state of the program now, because you guys were actively, and Butch's career is an interesting one because you guys had good teams. You guys were recruiting at a high level. You were competing in the SEC. A lot of different things transpired, and that started to tail off towards the end of his career. We all famously know how it ended. But for you to see what you were working to, what you guys were aspiring to when Butch was at Tennessee and recruiting guys like you to come turn the program around at the time, and then to finally see somebody get a handle on it in Josh Heupel and the rest of the staff there. I know you still stay engaged, still stay involved with the program. What do you make of the current state of Tennessee football, understanding that this year is going to come with some complications?
I love Coach Heupel. Big fan of his. He's been so good to the former guys. I got hurt right when Butch got fired, so I wasn't tight with any of Pruitt's crew. Tried to get involved with the program. He was never really that receptive. Never really. I felt awkward trying to get back to a game.
Pruitt wasn't.
Yeah, I felt awkward like going back to a game. And after I left while he was there. Now with Heupel, he's just all in on getting it. Like you said, he wants everyone back there. He wants everyone involved. He wants us all on the sidelines. He wants us to see what they're building and support it. And I think he's done a great job, man. He's got two 10-win seasons, playoff appearance. We wish that would have gone a little different, but at Ohio State, you saw what they did. They were obviously the team to beat.
And you saw the gap. You saw what you're working towards.
Yeah, we just needed a better quarterback.
You got one now, right? Joey Aguilar.
I need a competitor. Somebody with a little grit.
All right. Well, because in that game, not being able to lean on the running game the way that they had successfully throughout the course of the season due to injury, and then Nico trying to make some things happen unto himself. They got blown out. They were way, way far away from being what Ohio State actually is or was in that last season. I didn't hate the performance from Nico, even though they were clearly and obviously going to fall short, because I thought he went out there and fought for it a little bit. But that's, you speak on that better than I would, because I'm not out there with the guys.
Yeah, and I wasn't out there with them either.
But you still understand the dynamic.
And I was there. I was in Columbus listening to those awful Ohio State fans just dog their coach for 5 hours before the game. Just like, we hate him. We hope we lose. And then they win, and he's the freaking best ever. But anyways, I don't ever want to knock a kid like Nico. My whole thing is I never really saw the command presence. I think he has all the intangibles ever, and I hope, he can go off, and I'm not going to prey on his downfall for leaving, but I got to have a guy back there that is telling me what the hell is going on and getting on me. Like Dobbs, he never messed around. If you were messing around, he was going to jump you in a good way. That's what we're O-linemen. We're, yell at us, get into it a little bit.
You guys crave that to an extent.
Yeah, you're yelling at your wide receivers. I remember when Peyton Manning would come back and throw versus air. They'd have a throw around session in the summer, and usually there's 3 centers. Well, whenever Peyton Manning was coming back to throw, there's about 8 of us that are like, we can all play center, because we just wanted to snap to Peyton. But Josh is in there, and he is yelling, and he is, he's commanding the offense. And I've heard that what I feel like is, I don't think Nico had that dog as much. And I'm not saying that he might not grow into a great player, but I need somebody back there that is a winner and that is a dog. And if they can't throw it as far, or they can't run as fast, or they're a little shorter, okay. But if they're going to go out there and compete and have everybody on the same page, that's all I want. And I hope that kid from Appalachia, he's got some grit.
Joey Aguilar coming down here to try and pick up the pieces at this point. But I think that, that's just to kind of flesh it out. We're obviously in Nashville. I cover the Titans. That's something that's been a lot of the dialogue around Cam Ward, for example. He's built different, and the way that he processes things, the way that he approaches things, the just general tone that he takes with his teammates, how much that seems to mean to other guys in the locker room. Whereas, it would be completely easy for somebody on the outside, who's not been in a locker room setting that way, to be like, all right, but what's this kid going to be able to do on a professional level, or somebody who's just transferred in from another program that's at a much lower level of football? How are they going to be able to come in and command? If you have that, though, if it's authentic, if you're not trying to force it with you guys in the locker room will immediately pick up on that and feed off that energy, yes?
Yes, and everything Cam's doing is what you want to see. He obviously, the proof is in the pudding. We'll see what happens this year. But when you get a franchise quarterback, you don't want that guy making off-season mistakes. You don't need to be seeing that guy on Broadway, and that's not throwing any shots. But it's like, this guy's running our team. We can't have this. You don't see that. All the best. You don't see it now. Ben Roethlisberger, you might have a motorcycle incident here and there. Well, other than that,
Ben had more than a motorcycle.
Well, yeah, Ben, he's not a good example, but you know what I'm saying? Like your Peyton Mannings, your Tom Brady's, and it's hard to stay out of the news these days, but those guys, like, you know, you don't see them doing that kind of stuff. And same with Cam. He's out there, he's grinding. I saw a video of him where he broke a paddle the other day because he lost a, you know, you love
Calvin Ridley in ping pong.
Competitor. And like, I didn't think Josh Dobbs liked me for like a year and a half. And he's one of my good friends now.
Dobbs is one of the best human beings.
Because I came in as an early enrollee, and I was young, and he knew that we were gonna have to play O-lineman. He was hard on me, and I was like, man, I don't know if this guy likes me at all. I can't tell, but he's just challenging me, making me better. And I think Cam is that type of guy. I think he's also the guy you want to get on as far as like, I think he's gonna get after the O-line and challenge them to be better.
He's comfortable challenging Jeff Simmons at practice. He can certainly do that with the offensive line situation.
That's not a guy I would ever want to see across from me right there. That's for sure.
You know, I think we handled ourselves pretty well last year across from Jeff, but, you know, some people might debate that. Jack, it's good to have you hang out for a little bit. Do it again soon sometime.
Hey, thanks for having me, Buck. Best show in Nashville, baby, right here.
We knew this. Jack Jones, Murfreesboro legend, former Tennessee offensive lineman, hometown hero, kind enough to give us some of his time. We're going to get into the most interesting storylines. We've been doing that in every division around the NFL. The NFC North is next. Welcome back to the show. Good to hang out with Jack Jones. That's the first time we've done that. We've had Thomas Edwards, Tennessee offensive lineman, former Tennessee offensive lineman, just out here taking over the media landscape. You got Ramon, local sports media superstar, now about to be on the Vol Network. Jack Jones coming in here, hanging out with us, giving his thoughts. And Thomas, Thomas is about to drop an album. Drunk Enough is the name of the new album that's coming out. And I don't know, have you seen Thomas perform? Did you go with me and Lucas to that it was like a pre-game concert at Acme a couple of years ago before Tennessee. Who was the opponent they played at Virginia Tech? It would have been Milton's starting year.
Virginia?
Was it Virginia? I wanted to say Virginia Tech, but I didn't think that was right. I think you're right. Virginia. It was Virginia. I think you're correct.
No, I was not there for that. But Drunk Enough sounds like my love life.
Just
One
your
beers,
love life, huh?
2 beers. 3 beers.
For you? Or
yeah,
are you how
for
so
everyone else for
are
me.
Are you walking around your house with Cheyenne being like, all right, how many beers?
How many you need? I got a funnel. 2 beers.
So we're taking a look at the most interesting storyline in every NFL division. We did the AFC North yesterday. We will end with the AFC South because that's what you guys care about the most. In the meantime, though, it is worth talking about a couple of these different divisions because the Titans will see some of these teams throughout the course of the year and what is going to kind of define their season trajectory, depending on how you look at this. So if we did the AFC North yesterday, I feel that we should do the NFC North today. And the NFC North, all 4 of these teams, I mean, even the Bears, you have to feel good about the trajectory of the Chicago Bears. We're going to play you some Caleb Williams sound here in just a little bit of him talking about Ben Johnson, who recently left Detroit as the offensive coordinator to become the head coach. But this is Caleb Williams, the former number 1 overall pick, talking about his new head coach at Fanatics Fest.
Yeah, don't want to give you too many details or insight.
Oh, please do.
No, Ben Johnson's great. And it's not just Ben Johnson. We have a young staff / old staff. We have a bunch of experience, a bunch of new energy, provided from the coaches and players and things like that. So, I think it's been awesome. Ben Johnson, he uses some choice words every day towards me, but he's tough, and I love him. He's awesome. It's been great being around him. We hang out in his office, and we just, we have lunch sometimes, things like that. We just, building this bond and relationship to be able to, last a while. And and I know Bears fans, it's year after year typically, or every other year where the Bears, coaches and quarterbacks specifically are in and out, and our goal is to be here for a while. So we've been building this bond relationship.
So that is Caleb Williams at Fanatics Fest being interviewed by, I believe that was Kay Adams, talking about the new head coach, Ben Johnson, who's the former offensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions. Chicago should be the most interesting. I think they're probably going to be the team because they have the former number 1 overall pick, because they have a new head coach, because they're out here drafting offensive players this year like they're playing Madden. They are going to be talked about a great deal. Robert, if you made me pick between the 4 teams, which is the most interesting, though, I'd go Detroit. Detroit losing both of their coordinators to head coaching gigs is the first time that we're going to, like, Dan Campbell's going to have his Mike Vrabel moment where you have coordinator X you've got to replace. Okay, well, we're losing Matt LaFleur to Green Bay. Let's go promote Arthur Smith in-house. Wow, that worked out shockingly well. And Art goes on to put together one of the most successful offensive seasons in franchise history, certainly the best statistically in the Titans era. And that after that season, after the Ravens loss, or the loss to the Ravens that would have been the wild card round at Nissan Stadium, the first time they've hosted a home playoff game. That was the COVID season. So it was unfortunate that they had sparing, not a full attendance because it had been a while and it just felt like a preseason game, a lightly attended preseason game. But that game had great consequences. The Titans lose. Arthur Smith goes on to interview, I think, that night for the Jets before he ultimately gets the Falcons job a couple of days later. This is Dan Campbell's first run at this, where Jared Goff has been propped up and is a better quarterback at this point in his career than he ever was with the Rams, even though McVay helped him get to a certain point and Ben Johnson helped further that development. Jared Goff is a good player. Like, we can all say, standalone quarterback, Jared Goff is a good quarterback. And that probably would have been a conflicting position, depending on who you ask, prior, even a few years into his Lions tenure. Now they lose Aaron Glenn to the Jets on the defensive side of the ball. Now they lose Ben Johnson to the Bears, both as head coaches, and Dan Campbell's going to have to go through his first year of brain drain, where you're talking about a division that had 2 14-win teams last year. One of them replaced their quarterback and let him go to Seattle. The other one is losing both of their coordinators. And I don't know who feels more in jeopardy here between the Vikings and the Lions. It should be the Vikings because the quarterback change is significant, but you have Kevin O'Connell, who drafted J.J. McCarthy, so clearly they think there's something there that can be propped up by a system.
So a couple things on what you were talking about. The brain drain is real. You can see this in teams, and when coordinators leave for head coaching opportunities, it is not just the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator. They lost 5 position coaches as well. Anton Randall L. going to Chicago following Ben Johnson. Terrell Williams going to Mike Vrabel's staff in New England.
Is he the DC?
He's
the DC for the Patriots now, right?
That is correct. That is correct.
That's a big jump for
you
him.
remember the opportunities that Mike Vrabel afforded him when he was here, where he was allowing him to be the head coach for preseason games. So I'm sure that opportunity was not lost on him when Mike called him and said, hey, do you want to be the DC? But losing 5 position coordinators to other jobs and 1 to them moving on in the position, that's tough for continuity's sake. Like, different coaches come in, they teach different techniques. They may teach different things different ways. So that's always going to be tough for coaches to overcome. But I do agree that I think the Vikings are the most interesting team in the NFC North because they weren't able to add an influx of young talent into this team. Their lack of draft picks was made up for in their propensity to spend a lot of money in free agency. Went out and got...
Yeah, like the GM just got an extension, but you looked at his draft history, and it's kind of not good.
They had 1 draft pick in the top 100. Donovan Jackson, who's an exceptional player out of Ohio State. He's going to be a great guard for them. But going out and having to sign Ryan Kelly and Will Freeze as the center and right guard. And then on the defensive side, signing Jonathan Allen from Washington, signing Javon Hargrave from San Francisco, signing Isaiah Rodgers from Philly. So they added a lot of good pieces, but they weren't able to add young pieces. So interested to see how the development of that works with J.J. McCarthy. It is a more veteran team than a young team. I'm interested to see if he can make it work. Was the investment worth it? Was the year off for injury? Was he able to figure out what he needs to do to be a successful NFL quarterback? That's a big risk for a team that, as you mentioned, won double-digit games last year.
615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in on the conversation.
I think we can agree Green Bay is the most boring team in this division.
Oh, I don't know, man.
What are they? Why'd you say that so sexy? Oh, I don't know. You sound like Macho Man. Oh, I don't know, man.
Macho Man Randy Savage is what gets you going.
What? Just the way you said
concerning.
it. You were very gravelly.
Sensual.
Ooh, baby. Cut the lights down low.
Who on earth would
Unplug
think
that
that's
phone from the wall.
sexually
The
attractive?
only call you're going to be doing is calling the Macho Man's name as you count the lights on the ceiling while I'm pinning you for the 1, 2, 3. Yeah. That was good. I don't give a damn what you say.
That sounds like sexual assault.
Yeah. Count the lights. God. So what is so interesting about this Green Bay team to you?
I just don't know what I think about Jordan Love yet. Like, of the 4 of them, you are correct. They are the most boring of the teams. But that's still a double-digit win team last year that was in the playoffs and fell short. They are one of the youngest rosters in football. They have wide receivers everywhere, even though they can't find a consistent one. This is the first year they've drafted a first-round wide receiver since when? I mean, it sounded like people were probably drunk and naked in the streets anyway, because that's what Green Bay people do when football stuff is around them, and they had the NFL draft this year. But when it's Mark Murphy, the president, that got up to the podium to announce the pick?
Mark Murphy, Ted Thompson, something like that. One of those guys.
I don't think Ted Thompson is still there, but Mark Murphy I'm assuming it's Mark Murphy, got to the podium and said, for the first time in a long time, we're drafting Matthew. It was Matthew Golden, right? That
Correct.
Went in the first round of
One of the stupidest things for fans to be upset about. Why don't we select more wide receivers in the first round? Because you have a history of finding very, very good wide receivers after the first round. Just looking at their draft or their depth chart right now, Romeo Doubs, great receiver. like complimentary receiver, found him in the 4th round. Jaden Reed, who I would argue is their number 1, found him in the 2nd round. Dontavian Wicks out of Virginia, got him in the 5th round. I mean, Jordy Nelson, Donald Driver, go look up any of these guys. They have such a great history at finding wide receivers outside of the 1st round that their fans, I don't care. That's like a very rich kid being like, I didn't get the new Jordans. I have to wear last year's fashion. Shut up.
It's tough for us.
Enjoy your embarrassment of riches and stop complaining. Where, on my side, just as a Ravens fan, how long it took for us to get a competent wide receiver that we didn't trade for or have to send a shipment of money bags off somewhere.
Who was the best organically drafted Ravens wide receiver prior to
Hollywood?
Torrey
Smith.
And Torrey Smith was
okay.
Good at what he did, right? And he's a 2-time Super Bowl champion. Didn't he win another one?
He won with the Ravens and he won with the Eagles.
Wasn't he on that Nick Foles Eagles team?
Yeah, and then he retired.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So there are teams that have that in their history, but the difference between the Ravens and like a team like the Titans is that the Ravens find ways to supplement that in free agency, and they do so effectively. Anquan Bolden was excellent. Getting Derek Mason when they got him, a couple of things had to happen there, but he was a good play. I think he's still their franchise career receiving leader, isn't he?
Receiving yards, I believe. Mark Andrews is their receptions leader now and their touchdowns leader.
But Derek was for 100 years for both of these franchises, as a matter of fact. So I get your point. Green Bay, though, I just don't know what to do with Jordan Love. I don't know how good of a quarterback he actually is. And I want to know. I want to know what Matt LaFleur is able to do in Green Bay to advance their case in what is now. It feels like it's between the AFC North and the NFC North. They're the 2 toughest divisions to come out of in football this year. The NFC West used to be that, but it feels like that's taken a bit of a drop off, even though it's still a good division.
Still a good division. I think NFC North has the crown only because Cleveland is not expected to do anything.
And Chicago could.
And you could make an argument that any of the teams in the NFC North could hypothetically go to the playoffs, win a playoff game, be in the Super Bowl.
Les on YouTube says Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman are infinitely better than Corey Davis and Treylon Burks.
Sure, but what did they have to do that? They had to invest 3 first-round picks, the first being Hollywood Brown, the second being Rashad Bateman, and then another one into Zay Jones. So that's a huge investment to try to get something right. I think anyone would agree they would rather have invested those picks into something that, I don't know, it's hard because all of those picks ended up working out and being good players. But forcing a need into a first-round pick is not something that any good drafting team would like to do. And that's what the Ravens kind of did to themselves in those drafts, had to pigeon themselves into a wide receiver because they were still fighting off the Greg Roman accusations of this is not an offense that helps wide receivers. That's why they couldn't sign anybody in free agency. They had to trade for anybody they got or sign a broken Jeremy Maclin to a huge contract that he wasn't worth.
Him.
So, either way.
He was having a good year, though, until he got hurt, didn't he?
I don't think he had a good year, but I do know that he has free crab cakes for life at Jimmy's Seafood in an effort to have him sign with the Ravens.
Hey, you take the perks where you can get them. Speaking of the NFC North, Aaron Rodgers, former division, he has played in the AFC East since then, but now he's on his 3rd team in his career, and he's saying that this will be his last. You'll hear from Aaron Rodgers coming up next. The Tennessee Men's Clinic has been here for you for over a decade, making sure that guys who are feeling tired, sluggish, just not like themselves, have a treatment path forward if you assume it's just part of the aging process, but it really doesn't have to be that way. Whether it's low energy and performance issues, those things aren't inevitable. Solutions exist, and they exist at the Tennessee Men's Clinic. The difference for them is that there's no guesswork, no gimmicks, just real science and effective treatments. Generic online pills are overpriced and ineffective, and that's not the way that you want to go. You want a personalized treatment plan with multiple urologists and providers that are there to tailor solutions specifically to your body and to your goals. So stop procrastinating because it's only going to get worse. Call them today at 615-208-9090. That's 615-208-9090 or visit them today at TennesseeMen'sClinic.com.
What's going on? Good afternoon. Live from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I am Robert Walsh. Sparse news day in the NFL as Aaron Rodgers adds on the Pat McAfee show yesterday that he's, quote, pretty sure this is it, the final season of his career, and it will be in Pittsburgh, signing a one-year deal with $13 million to be in Pittsburgh with Mike Tomlin. Pretty big news day in the NBA. NBA draft is tonight in Brooklyn. Draft gets started at 7 p.m., but the real draft gets started after number one, where the Mavs are expected to select Duke's Cooper Flagg. San Antonio, Philly, Charlotte, and Utah round out the top five. Trade in the NBA yesterday, Atlanta and Brooklyn finalizing a three-team trade with the Celtics that sends Kristaps Porzingis and a second-round pick to the Hawks, Terrence Mann and Atlanta's number 22 overall pick to the Nets, and George Niang and a second-round pick to the Celtics. And finally, Dallas Mavericks nine-time NBA All-Star Kyrie Irving declined his $43 million player option and intends to sign a 3-year, $119 million contract with the franchise. The deal includes a player option in the 27 and 28 season. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
We all probably have Aaron Rodgers fatigue, but that's okay because he's still playing for now. One more season is what he is thinking is in the plans for him, and he said as much yesterday on the Pat McAfee Show. We'll get to that interview here in just a second, or a portion of that interview. Again, you can hear from the man himself. Titans don't play the Steelers in 2025, so it may be the Titans will not see Aaron Rodgers again as a professional football player, but that he's even leaving the door slightly open and talking about, well, I suppose I should just let you hear from Aaron Rodgers himself. This is the now Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback when asked about his playing future.
That's something you've thought about? Is that something that you know for sure? Or are you also just kind of taking it week by week, seeing how your body's feeling and seeing how the mind feels as you go throughout the season?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is it. That's why we just did a 1-year deal. Steelers didn't need to, put any extra years on that or anything. So, this was really about finishing with a lot of love and fun and peace for the career that I've had. I mean, I played 20 freaking years. It's been a long run, and I've enjoyed it. And what better place to finish than in one of the cornerstone franchises of the NFL with Mike Tomlin and a great group of leadership and great guys in the city that expects you to win.
All right, he's 41, so the idea that this would be his last season is fine. I don't know what the Aaron Rodgers retirement tour is going to look like. I don't know if it's going to be a big deal out of it made on every stop. It's kind of the thing that I appreciated about Brady is that he never really definitively said prior to retiring when he was going to retire, other than he pulled that prank when he was leaving New England acting like he was going to retire, which is still one of the best Super Bowl commercial long plays I've seen. Who is that, Hulu? Hulu does live sports. He had the picture of him in the stadium tunnel. I think that was before the Titans playoff run in 2019.
That's Tubi this year. Have you seen Tubi picked up the live rights that Hulu dropped?
Oh, really?
No, I made that up.
I thought you were going to make me have to be nice to Tubi now after I've been
you want some of that
very
Tubi money.
dismissive.
Yes, give me some of that Tubi money.
Yeah, I don't think that exists. So, anyway, Rodgers and retiring the last year in Pittsburgh, it makes sense from his standpoint. It puts the Steelers in flux, which I'm sure makes Robert happy. They were probably still going to have to draft a quarterback no matter whether Aaron Rodgers wanted to play beyond this year or not. I just wonder what he is going to do or how he is going to, because if he sucks again, he's going to want to immediately get out. But if they go like 10-7, Steelers make the playoffs, maybe they don't win the playoff game the way that they have in the last couple of years, but he's good enough, right? You don't think he brings this whole thing back around for another offseason and makes us at least have to talk about it?
That would be tough. I think he would make us talk about it, but again, if the Steelers make the playoffs, they're picking in the 20s in the draft. It's going to take a pretty penny to come up to get a quarterback that's worth taking, even in a class that is supposed to have 3, 4, 5 potential first-round quarterback
depending on
talents.
who comes out, for sure.
Right, who comes out, who has a good season. Like, any of this could change. Who knows? Drew Aller could be a 4th-round pick a la Matt Barkley. Remember, Matt Barkley was supposed to be a 1st-round pick, went back to USC, came out, and then he ends up being a 4th-round pick to the Eagles. Like, anything can happen in those seasons. But I digress. To the original point, if Rodgers does that, the Steelers are in a similar place than they were this offseason, except they have less options because they can't re-sign Justin Fields. They can't re-sign Russell Wilson. They would have to look at Aaron Rodgers or another outside source. They're probably going to be calling – who else could they call? They called the Jags this year about Trevor Lawrence. They'll be calling Arizona about Kyler Murray. They'll be in the exact same position they were last year.
He is the Packers franchise leader in touchdown passes. He has 475. He is their leader in completion percentage and passer rating. He ranks second behind Brett Favre in total passing yards for that franchise. Obviously, he wasn't breaking any records during his time with the Jets. He didn't play enough football there in his first year and then his second year. I mean, he was statistically, it looks better than it was to watch. I think we can all agree about that. And the Jets had problems of their own beyond Aaron Rodgers. But Aaron Rodgers, I don't know if he doesn't contribute more to your problems than he helps them at this point. If Aaron Rodgers is running his own offense, like who's in a worse situation than Arthur Smith right now? Arthur Smith is kind of being held hostage by his team's quarterback decision-making, and I'm sure there's a part of Arthur that would want to work with Aaron Rodgers, and that would, any coach is going to think, I can make this work with Aaron Rodgers. I can find a way to get him to see my side of things when famously that's not how Aaron Rodgers does business.
Someone who's in a worse position than Arth, as you call him. Have you ever said formally Arth? What's up, Arth?
Arth? I'm sure I've slipped up and been halfway between Art and Arthur, and I've probably done that before.
Arth is terrible. Cordero Patterson is in a worse spot than Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers will be protected. Cordero Patterson will still be asked to run ISOs like he's a 20-year-old man. You know, his legs, his body is screaming, Arthur, please stop running me.
Arth, please no more.
Sounds like a sick dog.
Like a dog,
Arth.
a dog with a lisp.
Yeah, Arth, stop running me up the middle, please.
Oh my God, it would be funny to have Ledyard on, John Ledyard, who does his Audibles and Analytics podcast for his Substack, where they do a lot of scouting, and Ledyard is famously a Steelers fan. Robert doesn't like him because he's a Steelers fan, because he's a loud Steelers fan on the internet.
Yes, I have him blocked. I had to unblock him when you were like, you guys would be such good friends. And then I saw a Steelers tweet and had to mute him.
You would be he is the Steelers version of you. So I don't know if those things can coexist.
Giving me way too much credit. He is far more accomplished than I am.
Yes, no, I would absolutely agree with that. But in terms of his fandom, you guys are equivalents there. No, as a professional, no, he is light years ahead of you.
All right, hold on now. I was trying to be modest, and you had to dunk on me.
I'm so behind. Tommy is in Nashville. 615-737-1045 is how you jump in on the conversation. You're welcome to do so. What do you got, Tommy?
Thanks, Bob. He's been a top-tier quarterback for 20 years, and he has one Super Bowl win. And it's just, he don't get it, man. He was on Pat McAfee, and all he wants to talk about is that people want to know about his new wife, and he don't think that's right. He is a public figure. He has to deal with the media. It's always controversy with him, and I think that he's got the talent that, like people are saying, he brings a lot to the locker room that he's just not good. And he's got a good play caller now, so he can't blame it on Arthur Smith, I don't think. So anyway, we'll see, but I just don't see it. Thank you.
Thanks for the call. Look at Tommy right at a minute. Well, I think people in Pittsburgh would probably push back a fair amount on how much they like Arthur Smith. Just starting there. I also think that there's plenty of people that would push back on the idea that Aaron Rodgers adds something to that locker room when, at least in his most recent stop, what did he do? I know there's videos of Sauce Gardner giving him a chain and things like that, but it sounds like he damn near ran off Garrett Wilson. And if you're picking between a quarterback and a wide receiver, you're probably going to pick the quarterback. But if the quarterback is Aaron Rodgers at 40 years old and he's out here asking you to bring in Allen Lazard and Devontae Adams at an advanced age, while you've got a young superstar, I don't know, is it too early to call Garrett Wilson a superstar? He's not Justin Jefferson, he's not Jamar Chase, but he's a good player.
Yeah, I think he's just been dealt a bad hand. He got dealt from the bottom of the deck.
He plays for the Jets.
So I looked up Garrett Wilson, and I would need to read this article, but the headline got me. Aaron Rodgers, in quotes, privately complained about wide receiver Garrett Wilson. See, if I'm Garrett Wilson, I'm upset because you're not throwing to me until the end of the game when we're already out of it. The beginning of the game, you're throwing to Devontae Adams, you're throwing to all your other buddies, you're throwing to Tyler Conklin.
Yeah, I'm not your desperation heave. I'm not your you up text.
Right, yes. Just stop funneling stuff to me so I can just take all these hits, and when the game is already decided.
So, I mean, he's always going to have complications around him, Rodgers. Pittsburgh is a place that puts up with or manages complications better than just about anybody.
So, to our point we were just saying, the first paragraph of this article, quote, by the end of last season, Wilson and Rodgers weren't exactly the best of friends. A relationship that started with promise ended with each other taking subtle shots at each other in press conferences. Privately, Rodgers complained about Wilson's tendency to freelance on routes, and there was frustration from Wilson and others about how Rodgers was funneling targets to Devontae Adams, shying away from running the ball, and ignoring Wilson in the red zone, Rosenblatt adds. So this is Zach Rosenblatt of The Athletic.
Yeah. that's the other part of this thing. DK Metcalf is an older player. DK is not quite 30, but he's got to be around there. He's got to be 28, 29. There are a lot of veterans on the Steelers roster, more so than the Jets, that were in a phase of team building that had young stars in a lot of different positions. Aaron Rodgers probably going to relate more to Cam Hayward and TJ Watt and DK Metcalf than he would with Garrett Wilson. It's just, which is completely natural. I mean, hell, I'm 31 and I'm looking around at things happening like TikTok trends and stuff like that. And just like a different generation of player that's coming into the locker room. Like now I'm interviewing NIL athletes that have completely had a different path to the pros than athletes I've ever covered before. And also they're younger than me. Like I can't just get through conversations because I'm their same age or around their same age. Now I'm at the age where they start putting players down, you know? So if it's tough for me to relate, or sometimes, I mean, it's not as difficult, but there are noticeable things to me, as there are for anybody once you start to get a certain amount of distance between people that you're working with or people that you're covering, whatever. Aaron Rodgers is 41. That's like their parents' age for a lot of these ones born in the year 2000 and up. So that's not an easy situation for him to manage, and it's his job to be the person that handles all of that stuff instead of antagonizing or instigating. And he does a lot of that.
I will say on Pittsburgh's side, knowing this Garrett Wilson piece definitively now, it seems like they got out of their own way by go ahead and shipping Pickens off and not trying to make it work. Well, that's a perfect
example.
100%, where a lot of the people were like, oh, they can cohabitate. It's not too much redundancy in like what they both do skill-wise. It seems like the Pittsburgh Steelers did themselves a favor to try to get the roadblocks out of the way ahead of time than to have to trade Pickens close to the deadline when you have zero leverage and everyone is aware of the issues. So I will give the Steelers a tip of the hat for that. They've always been good about getting out in front of things.
Yeah, and that is to be praised, being proactive, because we see what happens with organizations that are reactive. This one here in the last couple of years has been plenty reactive. Is it fair for me to question, though, the idea of just sight unseen? I mean, I guess it's not sight unseen. Mike Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers will have known each other for a long time. But you're siding with Aaron Rodgers in that situation for a short-term fix as opposed to banking on your young, organically drafted talent, but he's a quarterback. It's not an easy decision to make, but I don't know. I think it's fair to look around and be like, well, why should you just opt to go with what Aaron Rodgers wants, other than you have respect for him, and I'm sure that they do, and you think he brings something more to the table than he was able to show last year, which they probably also think.
Given the actual options that they had, I think it makes sense that Tomlin would want Aaron Rodgers. He doesn't want to put a rookie in there who's going to make rookie mistakes.
Especially one of these rookies.
You saw the two guys last year not be able to get it done. Justin Fields probably would have been your best chance if you were going to re-sign someone that you had last year.
And they very early felt like they were out on Justin Fields coming back.
That's the way it seems, but I can't remember who wrote it for The Athletic, that they would have liked to have him back. And maybe that there's something missing from that story. Maybe they would have liked to have him at a discounted contract than what the Jets gave him. But if that would have been their best shot to do it with a young guy, it makes sense to me that Tomlin would want a gunslinger, old head, someone who's been in the league that sees it, I would assume, similarly to the way that he sees it.
615-737-1045 is how you jump in there. The F&M Bank chat is also at your disposal if you're live streaming the show on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. I haven't done a single liner today because Lucas isn't here. Is there one that you need me to do?
Yes. Can you tell people about what's going on tomorrow night?
Okay. 1 second. Let me find that email.
In the meantime, before we go to break, it would behoove me not to let you guys know that it is Winning Wednesday.
Deleted that
email. Who do you think you are?
I don't read the liners. That's not a part of my job description.
Okay. It's Winning Wednesday, though, and it's your chance to win tickets for the Nashville Sounds. Be caller number 5 to win 2 tickets to the See the Sounds host Memphis.
Oh, I haven't.
next Wednesday at First Horizon Park. First 1,000 kids 12 and under get batting gloves presented by First Horizon. All Sounds fans win on Wednesday, and if the Sounds win the game, fans get a round of bases at First Horizon Park. So be caller number 5 right now to get your tickets to go see the Sounds host Memphis next Wednesday. That is July 2nd.
615-737-1045 for you to win those Sounds tickets. And while Robert is fielding your phone calls, the thing that is happening tomorrow is something that I think you're going to want to be a part of. It's 1045 The Zone's Split Happens Bowling Bash. You guys are going to be there June the 26th. That's tomorrow at King's Dining and Entertainment in Cool Springs. Join us for a night of bowling with food, drinks, prizes, and more, all to help benefit Home Street Home. They're going to have QR codes for you guys to donate to Home Street Home. We're hoping that the burden of buying a ticket, at least you might consider donating to an incredible cause that's doing really important work for the unhoused people in the community, especially this time of year. This is their most difficult time of year to keep people basically going. I mean, the amount of people that Stephen Young talks about that he's lost throughout the course of him and his team helping so many people who have these great needs, and how much greater that need is in the summer as opposed to what many of us would probably think during the colder months. And you can obviously assume that the extreme heat would not benefit that situation either. So please, if you're able, we would love if you would help us raise some money for Home Street Home. The admission is free, like I mentioned. RSVP now at 1045thezone.com. And they will be happy to have you out there at King's Dining and Entertainment. Should be fun. All right, coming up next, the NBA draft is tonight. We're going to talk about why we don't like the NBA draft. We're also going to get into Tight End University in Nashville, and how the Titans' top option at that position doesn't seem to be taking advantage of that. I'm Buck Rising. It's 1045 The Zone. Picture this. If you work remotely from home, your power goes out, you're banged, you're in a bad spot. It happens a lot. It happens more and more lately, especially with extreme weather occurrences. There's no need to compromise with Mother Nature anymore. Consider owning a home generator from Premier Generators. It could be the smartest investment that you make. Let the experts at Premier Generators help you out. They know their craft inside and out and will ensure that the best generator for your own unique needs is the one that you land on. Premier Generators is the largest certified generator dealer in Tennessee, always offering a 10-year warranty on all generators. The consultation is free, so what are you waiting for? Contact them today at premiergenerators.com or call them 615-439-2992. That's 615-439-2992, premiergenerators.com. Welcome back to the show. Fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. The song is What You Won't Do for Love. What won't you do for some Hattie B's Hot Chicken? What would you do for some Hattie B's Hot Chicken?
I'd kill a half chicken right now.
We have time. Do you want to do lunch?
If I didn't have a dentist appointment and I wasn't worried about poultry just being all in and around my mouth, it's bad when
the sake of the dentist.
Well, those ladies always have to get their hands near my beard, and anytime I eat Hattie B's, it's got all the spice in it. Like I like the flavor saver, so later in the day I can revisit the spice, and I would feel bad for them. It's like your breath smells like a half chicken. That's because it is.
Oh, Hattie B's. Despite that disgusting analysis, still the best hot chicken out there. Any one of their Middle Tennessee locations, or download the app and mobile order your Hattie B's today. We are going to touch on a Titans player that is not taking advantage of tight end U and the NBA draft, which is tonight, but there is something on the internet that caught your attention?
That's correct. Titans fans have pieced together number one overall, at least I'll say the quarterbacks from last year's draft and their initial Madden ratings, and they are upset about it. So Cam Ward has been given a 71 overall.
Who is the Titans fan that has done this?
I
what
believe
is the Twitter account?
The Twitter account.
And Arth was bad.
I'm glad I'm the one that cuts this stuff up. At Cam Ward Muse. So the reason he gets out of bed every day, Cam Ward has compiled this. Cam Ward has been given a 71 in Madden 26. Jesus. In comparison, rookie quarterback debut ratings in Madden 25. Caleb Williams was a 76. Jaden Daniels was a 74. Drake May was a 74. Disrespect to the number one overall pick. I would argue...
This has 33,000 views. What is wrong with you people?
It gets the people going. And at the behest of having people out here with pitchforks and torches, I would argue that all three of those quarterbacks were probably more highly thought of as quarterback prospects than Cam Ward was at this time last year.
Yes. Correct. Indisputable. I feel like 71 is fine. I just... The conversation, I think there's you try not to do something that is in an echo chamber too often. I almost said chamber there. That'd have been funny. Because Twitter is nothing if not an echo chamber, especially right now where Robert's timeline is somewhere between Iran footage and porn. At any given point.
God, and there's no middle ground, dude. Try doing work on Twitter right now. It is impossible.
It's a disaster. I'm sure most people can relate if you're on social media. So, like, me talking about a bunch of Titans fans, a handful of Titans fans on the internet, it's really not that many at the end of the day, complaining about Cam Ward's Madden rating, probably doesn't do much for the larger portion of the 2 million people within the sound of our voices. But it does seem to get a level of, I mean, Can we stop calling engagement? Because things like this on Twitter make me want to disengage. They don't provoke me in the way that they may provoke some of you. Maybe that's just a personal thing, but like I am now at the point where I don't consider Twitter to be engaging. These are just things that make me want to not engage.
Yeah, I don't want to be replying to nothing no more. Or you just end up looking like somebody is like, they got you.
I used to fight with people on Twitter all the time. And then Zach Bingham rightly told me, you're wasting like an hour of your day replying to people on Twitter. You idiot. Just post what you need to post and move on with your day. And so that's a way more sound approach. What is legitimate disrespect towards Cam Ward right now? Like, genuinely. What other than... Let me not be callous or biased about this because I think a lot of these things are stupid. What is actual disrespect that is being sent in the direction of Cam Ward by things or people that matter? He's the number one overall pick. There is no disrespect in that. He's the best player in this year's NFL draft. All right. His level of attentiveness, his work habits, the things that are being reported on in the slow times of year where he gets the wide receivers together at 5 a.m. because that's going to be his film study time because that's how he does things. Great. Every story that we've heard about this dude coming out of Miami has been nothing but glowing praise. His teammates have nothing but good things to say about him. And, you know, the only thing that I am cautioning people against is just don't turn this person into your football savior before he's taken a real snap. Like, just maybe pump the brakes a little bit on this football Jesus stuff. and take into account, all right, he's got a lot of work to do individually, much less what they have to do to not screw him up. Because the idea that Titans fans think that the Titans are immune from screwing Cam Ward up is crazy to me. We've seen way too many number one overall picks happen. So, like, I'm at a loss here, where people are trying to manufacture this disrespect like it's something that's out there and popularly trafficked in, when in reality, it's just one Madden rating that a handful of people on the internet are butthurt about, and I can't understand, other than, okay, they very quickly moved past Cam Ward being drafted, the coverage of Cam Ward being drafted on draft night, that I will accept as legitimate disrespect. That's fair. He's the number one overall pick. You give him his due time before you move on to the Travis Hunter trade. Beyond that, that's like the only thing that I can pull out of a hat.
I mean, we've read 2 articles this week where the Titans are a popular worst to first pick. It's like them and the San Francisco 49ers. Every time you see somebody talking about worst to first, they're talking about the Titans. They're talking about the 49ers. We read one article this week had the Titans at the 26th spot in the power rankings, but the quote was, "But I could see the Titans rocket up the power rankings if Cam Ward excels as I expect him to do." Some quote along those lines. So, like, it's not
Louis Riddick can't stop saying good things about Cam Ward. We put him on the air. It's not enough for again, this is not the vast majority of Titans fans. I should not be getting this spun out about a handful of people on Twitter just trying to make something into something that it's not. But I just think that everything around it has to be an extreme reaction, and easy for me to say that as somebody who is tasked or whose job it is to react in certain situations, and sometimes I may overreact, sometimes I may underreact. It's not there to me. This is a completely standard operating procedure for a number one overall pick, other than I think Titans fans, there's a certain segment of Titans fans that want to pick a fight with somebody, whoever, whether it's the hated national media, whether it's us locally because we're not doing a good enough job telling the story of Cam Ward, who just got here. He's got a 6-part documentary on the way, chill. All these different criticisms that there's a certain segment of the fan base, and maybe this is every fan base in America, depending on what sport or who you're talking about, at a certain point in time where your team's been down bad long enough and you've got a guy that represents hope, but the guy hasn't done anything for your team yet. You're just hoping that he does. So you want to be aggressive about it? Okay. Just let him get through training camp. It's exhausting.
Something that I want to know if you would find disrespectful. Say they were having a radio host summit, and Colin Cowherd and Dan Patrick and all of the best people in your field were there, and you thought, yeah, I'm too good to go. God, this is something like you would do. Would you find that disrespectful? Because that's a situation that's going on here in Nashville this week where Tight End U is going on. Gunnar Helm's there, but Chig's not. Is that disrespectful?
Rephrase.
God, I was trying to come up with a nice transition out of this.
No, I know. I'm ready for that transition because I'm tired of bitching about things that, only a handful of people on the internet are bothering me about.
You would totally skip a radio host U summit.
Was I invited?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
As long as I'm invited, I don't care. Yeah, I don't want to go.
It's not all expenses paid.
No.
You still have to pay to go.
Oh, hell no. No.
I knew you would.
Under what circumstance do you think?
You're like, no, I'm still working out. I'm still doing my show. Like, okay, so now tell people why they should be upset that Chig is not a tight end U. After I set that pitfall for you.
So you're saying that my hypothetical lack of attendance, as long as I'm invited but don't intend to attend this theoretical radio show host summit, that is comparable to Chig not being present at Tight End U while one other Titans tight end. By the way, Wiley's not there. What's Odakoya? I don't know when we start to get into the fringe DMR. Like, are those guys good enough to get invited to Tight End U when like people are like Gronk are showing up and taking up theoretical roster spots in the Tight End U thing? There has to be a cap, right? They can't. Like, I'm sure there are more people that wanted to come to this thing than actually got to attend.
I wonder what the split is between mentors and mentees, because I just saw a video of Dallas Clark doing the rod reaction tests, like all the little rods will drop at different points to test your reaction speed.
Yeah.
He was terrible. I wonder how many veteran, old-time Hall of Famer Antonio Gonzalez, all those guys.
We should do that, by the way, that reaction test thing. I think it would be hilarious to watch. Lucas, who has to be the most unathletic person. I think Lucas is the most unathletic person at the radio station.
Most unathletic athletic person.
What does that mean?
It means, out of all the athletic people, he might be the most unathletic.
No, I think just full stop. He's the least athletic.
No, you're selling him short.
You can't injure yourself that badly in a rec league soccer game. Now, the fact that he's trying to play rec league soccer, probably more than most of us are doing right now.
Right.
That's fair.
Most I'd be doing is wrestling. That's it.
Well, I feel like you're probably banned after your high school incident.
Yeah, no, they have me
defecating all over yourself. They have me back
with open arms. They're just like, are you wearing those Depends?
All right, so are Titans fans bothered by the idea that Chig's not there? Because this is a critically important year for Chig. Easton was pointing out in a group text the other day.
Yeah, I love you just selling people down the river from group text.
What do you mean? It's notes about Chig's where Chig's statistics rank next to John's. I'm not selling anybody out here.
Okay.
But what he said was Chig has been more productive than Jonnu Smith ever was. It doesn't feel like that at all, but it's true. And so there's that 1 8-touchdown season, which I think had to been 2020. That had to have been the year that Arthur Smith and Ryan Tannehill and A.J. Brown were at the height of their heights, at least here. But, yeah, Jonnu's 2020 was in two parts, receiving beast early, then a big help protecting after Lawan's ACL tear. Yeah, so Chig's numbers are actually better than Jonnu's during his time as a Tennessee Titan, which is, I also would not have had that. Now, this is a statistical conversation. What have the Titans been while Chig Okonkwo's been on the roster? They've been trailing in a ton of these games, so receiving yards are going to be there. Actual impact. When has Chig Okonkwo been a game-changing player?
That's my question.
Now, Jonnu, those moments are few and far between, too. They marketed Jonnu Smith as Delaney Walker Light, and then they marketed Chig as Jonnu Smith Light. And I just don't know how many lighter versions we're going to get before you finally just get to a player who's, I don't know, somebody has to be out there to catch passes at tight end.
I think the difference between the two is, one, Jonnu's blocking prowess, I would put head and shoulders above Chig's.
So many penalties, though, when Jonnu was in that, or at least here. He may have improved upon that, but he was a very undisciplined player as a blocking tight end. Go ahead. But to your point, he's better at it than Chig was.
The other note is Jonnu dropped 24 passes in his 7-year career. Chig has dropped 12 in 3 years. The drops have been the biggest issue with Chig. The unrealized points. I mean, how many times last year was it oh, wow, Will Levis actually threw a good ball, and then it would hit Chig in the hands and he would drop it.
Or somebody.
Yeah. So that would be the difference between Chig and Jonnu for me, where Jonnu's impact was felt more on the field because he didn't leave as many plays on the field. Chig, his is dampened by the fact that he left so many plays out there. Yeah, he's got the long touchdown. I can't remember who the long touchdown was. But, how many times has he missed the opportunities? That's my issue with Chig.
Talking about last year?
In totality,
I meant the long touchdown.
That was either last year or 2 years ago.
I'm going to say Houston. That feels right.
I'll do some digging.
Okay. So he's training by himself right now. Tight End U is in town. Tight End University, if you're not familiar, we started the show with this because they had the charity benefit concert last night that George Kittle and Greg Olson and Travis Kelce put on. Taylor Swift played a performance that they were not expecting. That obviously got a lot of attention. So Tight End U is in its 5th year. They have it here in Nashville, and it's just a giant skills camp for tight ends, and a lot of tight ends from all over the country come in and work out, and they get better at their craft. It's just like a workshop opportunity. That Chig's not there doesn't bother me as long as he's continuing to work, but it's just about opportunities that he has in front of him. What is he going to take advantage of? How much better can he actually get? Or is the Chig Okonkwo experience just what it is? That can be okay because he's at least, he looks statistically productive. But the actual impact of when Chig is making those plays is the thing that I think it's fair to question. Now, we could go through individually, watch every game of Chig Okonkwo's career. This would be a good summer project, as a matter of fact. and say, all right, what was actually impactful versus what is just. I make this comparison to Blake Bortles a lot because I don't think anybody is more guilty of this than Blake Bortles with the Jags. But he has 300-yard passing games all over the place because the Jags are trailing in so many of these games where Bortles looks like a way more effective quarterback than he actually was during his playing career. I think that's an example to use of any player that's in a situation like that. Bortles is just a somewhat recent one. He's been retired for a while though. I guess I gotta pick a new player.
Ripping Sigs.
Who's the latest example of a box score stuffer?
A quarterback that I don't think is as good as his box score indicates would be.
How long until Burrow starts getting accused of this? I'll
do it right now. Jared Goff. Jared Goff has some incredible numbers sometimes, but I think he's a really good quarterback. He's infinitely better than Blake Bortles. I'd have to think on that.
Okay. Last call for phone calls if you got them. 615-737-1045. We'll talk about the NBA draft that's taking place tonight. Coming up next. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. Lucas on assignment, Robert and me for one more segment. Lucas is in Foxborough for tonight's MLS match between the New England Revolution and the visiting Nashville SC. Nashville SC looking to make it 12 unbeaten results in a row, which would be crazy. He will be back tomorrow, but not with us. He's got a 5 a.m. flight, 5 a.m. Eastern, which theoretically he could do the show, but we're not going to do that to him. He's filling in for Zach tomorrow, right?
Yeah, it's not like you would do it.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, sleep in a little bit.
No, but the two of you still, you still are young, starving artists trying to, climb, even though Bert's like 6 weeks younger than me, trying to achieve your career aspirations. Whereas me, what else do I want? I've got everything that I need right now, baby. I'm cruising. I'm all right.
You know me. I'm so behind. God, I'm so behind.
See, their mistake was giving me everything way too early, and now I don't have to work for anything anymore. I just make the two of you do it.
NBA draft tonight. We haven't even really got to talk about this.
Well, I mean, it's Cooper Flag at 1, and what else?
That's my point. Ace Bailey somewhere in there.
Yeah, no, my issue with the NBA draft is multi-layered. One, the Dallas Mavericks should not have the number 1 overall pick. Get the bleep out of there with that.
That's 100% collusion.
That's garbage. That is everything that we are currently finding out about the NFL, but worse. Reckless speculation on my part. There's nothing in print. There's been no arbitrator. Do you have the sound? Yes, thank you. Thank you. No, it's fading. Isn't that what's going to happen tomorrow? Isn't there supposed to be a test of a fire alarm in the middle of the show?
Oh, that'll be fun. 10 to 11 sometime in
Why not just wait until 6:30 in the evening when everybody is done for the day before you test the damn fire alarms?
That's me anytime the highway is shut down for construction. Like, why couldn't you have done this when we were all asleep? Why are you doing this at 5:30?
Don't understand. I would probably get more upset about the things that are emailed to me if I actually read my email.
Probably.
Instead of you two just telling me what is in my email that would piss me off. But just garbage. Anyway.
I can't wait for that during the show.
I'm going to lose my mind.
Whatever we do, we are abruptly stopping.
Oh, yeah, I'm just going to leave.
It's a fire alarm. Gotta go. Everybody get out.
What do you mean I have to stay through the building?
I'm not going down with the ship.
No.
Come on.
Me?
Are you kidding? That's why these windows don't open. They're trying to trap us in here.
But my issue with the NBA draft is that the trades can happen while these kids are still walking up to get the hat from the commissioner, They have to at least, I think the one fix that would be easy to provide to the NBA draft would be to at least make them have to stay on the roster for 24 hours. If you want to trade players, okay, fine, let it be the next day, at 7 o'clock. Or whatever the case may be. Let me at least have the guise of, all right, this player is going to be here for 24 hours. He's at least going to be still wearing the correct hat of the team that just drafted him before a team has the opportunity to move him. That happens way too often.
Famous Hornets, Kobe Bryant and SGA, who never played a second for the teams. And the unfortunate thing is, I don't think that would fix it either. People love college basketball, and I'm thinking,
I love college basketball.
What's the correlation between the NFL draft and why it's so successful and the NBA draft and why it is not successful? It feels like those two leagues.
There's a lot more players.
A lot more players in the NFL, but
a lot more players that can have an impact.
I would agree with that too. I would agree with that. Where a lot of these guys are probably going to be role players, and you're not as worried about. I don't know. I think you would be as worried about team building. I don't know how.
No, team building is infinitely more important in the NBA because you have so many fewer chances to get it right.
Right. And less guys who can help in other positions. It sucks because I love drafts. I like the NBA draft, but it just does not hit the same as the NFL draft does. And I don't know if there is a way they can fix that.
Well, it won't be fixed tonight, but it will be on. So we'll see what happens. I mean, we know what's going to happen with the number 1 overall pick. This is Cooper Flag, by the way, talking about, because he's going to be one of the youngest number 1 overall picks ever in the history of the sport because he reclassified as a college player for his recruitment class. This is Cooper Flag talking about the youth that he is getting ready to bring to the league.
I quote my mom likes to say a lot, if you're the best player in the gym, then you need to find a new gym. So So for me, it was about thinking about what I had left to do in high school and how much that would push me to become a better player. So for me, that decision wasn't too hard. After going undefeated with that team, it was before that. So I kind of knew that we were going to have a really, really good team, and then the next year would kind of be a fall off of the competition and things like that. So I kind of just made that decision based on that. I felt like it was time for me to kind of get to a new environment and push myself to higher levels and to really just get in a new environment.
So that's Cooper Flagg speaking on his draft status and his recruitment status. Expected to be the number 1 overall pick by the Dallas Mavericks tonight. The top of the order is the Mavs at 1, Spurs 2, Sixers 3. So much frustration from Daryl Morey on lottery night where he just drops his head onto the table, starts banging his fists onto the table because it's a terrible spot to be in. That's the difference between, like, the 3rd overall pick in the NFL is still a huge get. The 3rd overall pick in the NBA may not pan out, like, at all. Like, you have to go into the situation understanding that on a fundamental level, this guy may not contribute. And then the Hornets and the Jazz round out the top 5. The Grizzlies' first pick is 16 from Orlando as a part of that trade. Polls? So excessive, that one.
The polls brought to you by Two Rivers Ford, the most trusted Ford dealership in all of the South. Something we didn't get into today, but I think is a fascinating conversation. What is the best, quote, ride into the sunset moment in sports? Karen Reeves with Peyton Manning retiring after winning Super Bowl 50. I've got a lot of Kobe's last game in here. Jerome Bettis winning a Super Bowl in his hometown. All of those are great. I'm going to go with Ray Lewis's deer antler spray Super Bowl.
That was Ray's last ride was about it because it's better than Manning, right? Peyton Manning, the corpse of Peyton Manning winning that Super Bowl in Denver. That's Von Miller's Super Bowl. It feels less Peyton's as it does equal between Peyton and Osweiler, who he got benched for that year. Ray Lewis is probably the best one.
What is the most interesting storyline in the NFC North? Red 95 says how much the Vikings, quote, success last year was due to a quarterback. Am I a bot? At bot am not 25 says Caleb Williams under Ben Johnson. I think those are the two correct answers.
Why do the bots give us better answers than the real people do?
That's a good question. Question for the bots. How would you improve the NBA draft? Mighty Titans got a couple of them. Take out the lottery for the number 1 pick. If they want to keep the lottery, make it to gain an extra first-round pick towards the middle or the end of the draft. If keeping the lottery, show the process and make it right before the start of the draft rather than a month before. I don't hate 1 and 3.
Yeah, the lottery, I don't know, because there's people that got a wild hair and started talking about the lottery being implemented in the NFL just because we needed something to talk about, I guess.
Right, and they just don't want their best player in a potential draft going to a terrible market or a terrible team. In my opinion, that's why.
That's the reason. I don't have such a big problem with the lottery, but I do acknowledge as a fan, it kind of sucks.
What's the dumbest thing in sports this week? Ashley sharing the fan who yelled at Marte about his mom dying in a car crash. Yep, that is something that's dumb in sports.
That's heinous.
And Sean saying hockey fans complaining about teams with no state income tax is also pretty dumb.
Those are pretty good submissions. It's going to do it for us today. Those are the polls, yes?
Those are the polls.
Excellent. We love to see it. We are going to wrap things up here for the afternoon. I'll be back with you on primetime, 7 p.m. tonight. You guys can enjoy the rest of your afternoon with Blaine and Zach coming up next.